Welcome to the Visual Cast. I'm your host, Alon, aka Red.
The world is like a ride at an amusement park, and it's fun for a while. Some people have been on the ride for a long time, and they begin to question, is this real, or is this just a ride? And other people have remembered, and they come back to us, and they say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid, ever, because this is just a ride.
By a very special guest, somebody who I've been following for not too long, but long enough to see amazing progression and really awesome skills and just super high level creativity and interesting use of our visual VJ world. And I'm super excited to have him on the podcast. Welcome, Juan Rendon, aka Cartoon Advisory.
Yo, dude, thank you so much for having me, man. Like we've been definitely trying to make this work for a little bit. I'm really glad that we could connect, man. I'm glad that we can make this happen. Super pumped to have a chat, bro.
Same, brother, same. I'm really happy we made it. Yeah, I mean, for those not familiar with their work, we'll just take a quick dive into your Instagram here. There's some nice AI stuff here. Pretty cool. I think maybe we'll learn about that a little bit later. And just checking in a little bit more deeper into your, motion graphics work. I know you've been getting really deep into TouchDesigner over the past year or two. Is that right? Maybe longer than that?
A little bit longer, yeah, for sure. Like I started out kind of like in the middle of like school, like university type deal. Had a really dope instructor. She's actually from here in Orlando. Her name is Synthestruct.
Cool.
Kind of like a local legend sort of thing.
Hell
She
yeah.
kind of gave us some courses and picked it up from there, man.
That's so cool. It's awesome that you got to find an instructor. I think it's like super makes the process of learning TouchDesigner way easier. When you have somebody to be like, hey, how do I do this extremely unintuitive thing? And they're just like, oh yeah, it's easy. You just do this. And you're like, fuck. I wish I would have known that before. Yeah, I think it's really
like going from like 3D to like Photoshop and like kind of like layer based sort of editing, editing workflow to a node based, which is like you said, just completely sideways and completely off the wall. It is really helpful to have someone there kind of guiding you through the process, helping you out with any questions you have, kind of giving you some notes on what each node does, and kind of letting you explore safely without breaking anything. You know what I mean?
totally. Although breaking stuff, that's the beauty of nodes, right? It's all it's all what is it called? Procedural. There's no it's non-destructive, so you don't you can't go wrong really. So tell me, like, what these are so cool. First of all, like, these are freaking awesome. These are like blend geometry nodes in Blender.
So I start out like sketching out all of the cyber stuff. Just kind of like picked up some, watching tutorials online on how to like draw that out, sketch it out. Like I've always, like I'm not a great, artist in by hand, but it is nice to kind of get in and draw some stuff every once in a while. So that was a lot of fun, kind of getting those out and on paper. And then I'll throw them into Blender and add a little bit of geometry nodes, just kind of extrude them, kind of subdivide them a little bit, and then hop into Photoshop and Illustrator and stuff like that, and kind of finish up and add the last little bit of touches,
Such
like
nice
all the
details,
lettering, all the layout.
Such nice details in
like
all these things.
I tried to like step away like so heavily from 3D and do a nice little merge of like little graphic work. You know what I mean? Like I've seen a lot of really cool kind of like brutalist, like cyberpunk type of graphic style be really on the rise on Instagram and on TikTok and stuff like that. So I was trying to like merge the two worlds a little bit together and kind of see what could come from that. And it is a lot of fun putting those together, man. Because you go online, you find millions of assets, kind of see what works together, what doesn't work together.
For
There's a
sure.
really dope artist called Design Syndrome, and he's
Okay.
got some really cool stuff on his site. You know what I mean? Some really cool like overlays, some cool Photoshop, Illustrator
Nice.
files that you can just kind of drag and drop into stuff. You know what I mean? It's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
fun just messing around with that.
Nice. Yeah, I was telling you, I love these geometry patterns. It's like I don't get simplicity. Like I do get simplicity. I don't know how to do it well. So whenever I see like simple things, it just all of a, I just love it because it's like, you know, this is maybe a little bit more because there's like some intricacy here for sure. But it's like a white background. It's subtle. It's one color. But it's like it just draws your attention and it's like interesting and there's it's like abstract slash modern art, but it's like, but then I also am like, oh, it's such nice 3D and it's super clean and super tight. So I really like this kind of stuff. Where do you draw like inspiration for? I know it's a very big question, but just kind of like opening us up here a little bit. Where do you draw like inspiration to get these kind of shapes and these kind of designs? And then, you kind of, I would say in most of your work, you're infusing this kind of character, this little cartoon guy. You can kind of see, I don't know if that was on purpose, but you can kind of see him here with the two hands and everything. So yeah, where do you get this kind of like inspiration to do these type of things? And and what's with the toon character, bro? I love this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
this is
like
sick.
the geometry stuff all started out with like I scrolling, just doom scrolling one day, I heard about this kind of like decomp is it decomp what is it, like not decomposition but decompression, there we go. I couldn't think of the word.
Decompression.
Like decompression uh practice that you can do as an artist, where you can still um keep
Wow,
that
look at this.
creativity, those gears kind of going, but just kind of like not think about it. So I grabbed like a gridded notebook with what I mean, like the squared
Yeah,
pages,
yeah.
and I would just kind of divide it so there was some structure to it. You know what I mean? So I kind of gave myself like a little bit of like, okay, like this is how much space you have. I would draw like 12 by 12 little tiny squares on the page, and just kind of fill the page up with those. And then eventually it just kind of led to filling up a couple different pages of those, and I was like, you know what, these would look kind of cool as 3D, but how can I keep like this sort of 2D sort of look,
Aesthetic. Yeah.
like how do I keep the simplicity without, you know what I mean,
Mm,
without adding too much to it. And uh color theory has always been something that I've been really drawn to.
yeah. You're
I
very
try
good
to
at it.
think about materials and lighting and the way colors affect each piece, and kind of like what's happening in each piece. I think it all ties in super heavily with composition and all these things kind of that we learned from school and stuff.
Mm.
But yeah, man, like the whole just geometric thing just started by doing that, dude. Just kind of like after grinding out, work, and then coming out and doing some 3D stuff or doing some stuff on the computer, like to get it, away from some lights and some screen time, I would
I
just
love this one.
sit down and doodle, and then you know what I mean. It's kind of evolved from there, man.
So cool. Yeah, I mean, it's like you
Thank you,
clearly
brother.
you clearly understand color. I mean, just look at these monotone colors. They're just like all popping out, super nice shading, and like it's like some sort of cell shaded, tune shaded thing. This is also using, I would guess, is this using your plugin for Cinema 4D? Your
So it's
shader
not really a
tools,
plugin. It's just yeah, it's just a pack.
materials.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just a material pack. I think it's a Octane pack. Actually, I
Cool.
think I built out like a native like C4D pack. But I think there's
Nice.
an Octane pack in there too. It's all free too. By the way, if anyone wants to go on and
Yeah,
snag it up
definitely
and
check it
use it
out.
up, it's a lot of fun. I had a couple of homies download it and use, and they put up some cool stuff with it. Polygon
Okay.
Rainbow
Shout
downloaded it.
out.
He's done some cool stuff with it, and yeah, dude, the homies. but yeah, man, like color theory, I think just really ties in a whole piece together. You know what I'm saying? Like
Totally.
the colors in a piece, like, and it's weird because I'm kind of drawn to both like very like bright and kind of like eye catching colors, and then I'm also like I'll get in these moods where I just kind of want to work with like very muted, very like desaturated sort of a color palette, just to kind of see what how much I can get away with doing less. Does that make sense?
Totally. Totally. I mean, like
Yeah,
again,
pretty
this is
interesting.
like, this is a one color piece, but so deep, there's so much going on, even though it's so simplistic and, you know, I don't know, like symmetrical. Like it's not like this is already like something that's like a fine art piece almost, Okay, obviously it's digital and like whatever, but there's like something about it that just kind of, like what you're saying, it's that color emphasis. I think really makes a huge difference because, like, at the end of the day, maybe I've seen a lot of things like this, geometric patterns and some shapes with like a little bit of elements, but the way that you're kind of like muting everything with the colors and kind of bringing it in, it's great, dude. It's really really cool. I really like it, and I don't think I've seen a lot of this stuff of yours, but continued to be surprised and impressed by what you do. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's also cool that you get your inspiration from drawing. Like, I think that's super cool. And, I kind of, now that you said that, I'm looking at these and like, oh yeah, that kind of does look like a little doodle of some sort, like just brought into like 3D, a 3D world. So yeah, super cool, dude. Your work is great. And, you should be very proud of it. So just kind of like, stepping into a little bit of who Juan is. Sorry to speak about you in the third person, but
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, it's fine. Juan does it all the time. Uh,
Yeah.
not joking. You grew up in Orlando, California, originally from Colombia. Give us a little bit about like what it was like growing up in Orlando. Maybe like, is there anybody in your life that you were kind of like trying to emulate in terms of art, in terms of like being an artist, inspiration for something like that, and kind of like leading up to going to school later on, which we'll hear about as well. What was kind of your introduction or immersion into art?
Totally. So, growing up in Orlando was a lot of fun, man. I'm super blessed to say that my stepdad has always been, you know, uh, he's always had really good work. My bad, I'm kind of soloing over my words. But we had the Disney passes, the Universal passes, so we
Hell
were
yeah.
always kind of entertained. You know what I mean? And then in Claremont, where we grew up, actually, because we weren't like in Orlando, just kind of like 20, 30 minutes away. Um, it was small enough to where it wasn't overwhelming. Kind of like once you step into high school and kind of like a little bit of like the adult world. But it was big enough to where there's a lot going on. You know what I mean? Like we had some parties and we had the lakes and we had the this stuff going on. We were always kind of doing something, man. So we were always
Mm.
outside, which was always cool. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Got into some trouble, obviously. You know what I mean? As the
For
youngins
sure.
do. But yeah, man, right after high school, I was a little lost. You know what I mean? I was kind of just working dead end jobs, just kind of doing whatever. And my senior year, I started hanging out with the Easy Baked crew. They kind of grew up in the same town as I did. Started going
Okay.
to clubs and shows and festivals and stuff with them. They kind of took me under their wing. And just watching them and uh, seeing how they kind of like uh, move through the world, dude, was just so inspiring, bro. Because they were
Mm.
always meeting
Mm.
new people and meeting new DJs and new
Mm.
producers and meeting these people and meeting, it was it felt like it was moving really fast, but it was only because they were putting in so much work, man. You know what I mean?
Huh.
Like every time we go
Interesting.
over to their house or something, it'd be like new song, new this, check this out, we're doing this new, this, you know what I mean? So it was always like kind of from like a get go, I saw like work equals results. You know what I mean? What those results are
Ah,
very,
like putting
you
in
know
the
what I
work,
mean?
you're
But
gonna get
just
something out of it.
100%, bro. And that goes for anything, man. You know what I mean? Whether it goes for your dead end job, whether it goes for something you're passionate about, if you're able to find the time to like really dedicate and really just put your mind into it, man, like it's amazing what it does. Not only like, you know, career wise, whatever, but it like mentally too, man. Like those guys, uh, you know, obviously they kind of grew up in the same area, did some funky stuff, got into some trouble and stuff, and the progression that they made was just so inspiring, bro.
Mm,
You know what
mm,
I mean? Like just kind of seeing like, and even where they're at right now, man, like it's just like a huge inspiration to be even able to say that I got to hang out with them and kick it with them and learn from them.
mm,
So from kind of like I was like 20-ish, like 20 when I started school. From then on, I kind of like really started taking art and graphic design and just kind of like really putting forth the same attitude. You know what I mean? Just kind of like putting my
mm-hmm.
head down, putting in work. And you know, I'm blessed to say that I'm here today, man. You know, there's obviously been some ups and downs. It hasn't been a straight shot to the top, you know, but I love it, man. I love it every single day, brother. Like I'm blessed to say that I've met some amazing people, yourself included, bro. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
having
thank you.
opportunities like this is just a huge blessing. It's you know brought a lot of confidence to
Mm-hmm.
myself. You know what I mean? Like I've
Mm-hmm.
never I used to not be like a super confident guy. I used to not really like
Mm,
know my place in the world and be, you know, feel really lost and stuff. And
mm,
you know, graphic design, art, 3D, animation, whatever has really just kind of helped me like find my place in the world. You know what I mean? Like
mm-hmm.
uh it's sick, man. Like I love what I do, bro, and I'm super fortunate to continue doing it, man.
Fuck yeah, dude. That's awesome. Um, so I love that kind. Oh, sorry, wrong button. I love that you know that you can kind of track or put your finger on kind of the you know the crew or you know the time in your life where you were kind of inspired by this stuff. Um, did you have like did you know when you were younger that you were going to pursue some sort of art, or was that something that when you went to school you kind of made a decision?
No, dude. So like in middle school, like I started playing guitar when I was like 12, 13 years old. Like I've always been like very musically inclined.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know how to read music or anything, but like me and my buddies were in a band. We did like
Mm-hmm.
the school dances and stuff like that when we were like 13, 14 years old. And like that feeling of
Nice.
like um you know that not I don't want to say like the center of attention, but being in like production and like setting up the gear and the amps. Obviously it was like, you know, $100 amps with, you know, baby guitars and you know what I mean? It wasn't a full production setup, but just from there on I kind of realized like, oh dude, like this is, if you just put in the work, man, like you can, you know, a lot comes out of it, you know what I'm saying? And in high school too, I my sophomore year I started taking TV production and finished up high school through it. You know, did the whole, you know, 2, 3, 4, whatever, and that's where I kind of fell in love with the behind the scenes. You know what I mean? Like, and there was a portion in the in TV where we did like the morning announcements and the morning news and stuff like that. And I
Nice.
never liked being in front of the camera, but you know,
But you like to be
producing and
part of it.
directing and just kind
Yeah.
of, dude, it was, I loved it, man. And then obviously, like once we kind of broke out of that and started doing our own, you know, filming our own stuff, editing our own stuff, writing all our own stuff, that was just a whole different like mind shift. You know what I mean? And that just kind of like it again, like it kind of gave me a purpose. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't the best student. Like I wasn't always at school, um but I made sure to always be at TV production. You know what I mean? Like I always made sure
Yeah.
to do well in that class and to excel in that class, just because I was learning a lot from it, dude. Like I
Yeah.
understood that like these were actually things that I could take outside of school, whether I passed all of my classes or whether I didn't. We got certified in Final Cut when that was, you know, a big thing because we all had MacBooks back then. So that's when I kind of realized like, oh wait a minute, like this is some professional level stuff that like people pay hundreds and thousands of dollars for, that we're kind of getting for free, bro. Like I should really take
Mm.
advantage of this because this is something that could really pay off later down the road. And I kind of forgot about it. Right when I graduated, I wasn't really sure like whether I wanted to go into like film and TV production and stuff. But um, hanging out with the Easy Bake crew, I kind of started like messing around with like applications on my phone, like Light, Photoshop Light, and some glitch stuff. And then that's when it really started to click. I went out to Halloween, or it was Zen Awakening, or like one of the locals out here in Florida, and like I was walking around just kind of like taking a tour kind of by myself, and uh I saw the front of house, the VJs kind of doing stuff, and it all kind of started clicking together, and I was like, oh wait a minute, like the people put this together. Like this is a team effort. This is a thing that like people can get into. Like it's not like this secret club that you have to have always been a part of. Like you can work your way through this industry, and kind of the whole idea of like how festivals come together, and the whole idea of PLUR, and how it literally is just a collaborative effort to bring this magical experience for people together, man. And
Totally.
soon after that, kind of started working with I interned with one of the guys that works with Halloween. He does kind of the projection mapping and some of the VJ stuff out there.
Nice.
Um, and that was a lot of fun. That was in 2018. And like at the same time, we did a bunch of like private events down south, a lot of like bar mitzvahs, a lot of like birthday parties, like
Nice.
birthday dinners and things like that. But that was a fun experience, man. I took like a couple months off of school to kind of do that, and have some fun with that. But yeah, man, like it's been a lot of fun, dude. Like it's been a very rewarding experience, you know. Definitely definitely can say that.
For sure, for sure. It's so cool. Yeah, I love hearing those. I saw front of house, or I saw the show, and I wanted to do it. And you're also the type of guy. Seems to me that like you're ready to put in the work because you know that you're gonna get a result, because you know that the result's gonna make you feel good or level you up, or et cetera, which we'll get into I think later. But you know, I love people like you. I mean, I try to love everybody, but I love people like you because it's kind of like I think as artists, and I'm sure I would imagine you feel the same way. We want to inspire people. That's like kind of like one of the biggest goals of showing your art to somebody else is to get a reaction, to get some sort of, you know, something, and that something is in some way inspiration. Um, and people that take that inspiration and manage to like make themselves a career out of it is like fuck yeah, you're getting that full send right away. So yeah, I love people like you, and happy that you got to see those things and follow that path. Did you go to school after that, and kind of like what I guess you were in school while this was happening. Did it change your trajectory in school? Like did you kind of think maybe I should study something else, or maybe I should pick up a different class or things like that?
No, man, like the idea was always projection mapping and show production. You know what I mean? That was kind of always like the whole like this the get from the plan from day one. I didn't know if I wanted to get more into like the production side of it, or like the animation side of it. And after taking a tour of the school, I kind of realized like the show production stuff you can kind of learn um on site. You know what I mean? It's always good to go in with knowledge, obviously. But
For
I
sure.
kind of felt more towards like the design aspect of it, just because it felt a little bit more um versatile to me. Obviously, it's just one person's opinion. You know what I mean? I fully understand how valuable uh show production knowledge is, man. Like
For sure.
I had a dope opportunity recently working with a club downtown here in Orlando, and they kind of threw me into the lines then with the lights, and very quickly learned the beast that is lighting design, man. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun, obviously, dude. Like you know what I mean, like designing lights and kind of like I didn't get as far as to like make what's that shit?
Like a
Yeah, see, I don't
program, a
even know what I'm talking
presets
about.
or whatever.
Right, right. You know what I mean? I was kind of like doing a lot of stuff manually. But it was a blast, bro. And you kind of understand how the two worlds merge together, man, because the space that I was really focusing heavy on the lights was a closed off space with
Mm.
like 90-degree projectors. So it like the attention of the visuals focused heavily on like a mix of both. You know what I mean? It
Mm.
couldn't be
Mm-hmm.
like a bunch of crazy colors with a bunch of crazy colors on the wall because you just look like, you know, like color vomit. But that was a lot of fun, man. And it kind of all, it was dope to understand color theory because you kind of like tie that into with what the DJ is doing and then kind of work with the flow of the music and work with the flow of the crowd. And it was, it, it's, it, show production is really like, in my opinion, one of the most rewarding experiences. Obviously, it kicks your ass. You know what I mean? It's not easy by any means. And it's so broad too, bro. Like it expands with audio, video, lights,
Totally.
this, that,
Scenography, yeah,
uh,
stage, acting, everything, for sure.
you get what I'm saying? Like, talent, like the whole nine, bro. Like, talent acquisition. Like,
Yep.
it's a beast, man, and it's dope to see where it is today, man. You know what I mean? Because I feel like I kind of got introduced to especially like EDM, uh, at a very I don't want to say like new time because EDC and like all these cats have been doing shows for since the
Right.
90s.
Right. It's been going on for a
Uh,
while. Yeah.
but it still wasn't at the level where it's at like today in 2025, for example, where you see, 50,000. I don't even know how many people go out to EDC. Like back when I was still going out to festivals heavy, like the crowds still weren't as packed out and there was still kind of people getting into it. And it was a cool transitional phase for it. So seeing how much money is getting thrown into production now, bro, and seeing how much it's really grown in even just the past 5, 10 years, bro, it's it means job security. You know what I mean? It's a good sign for some money signs, man. Like, which is awesome.
For sure. For sure. Especially as we get, post COVID, everybody was so kind of like, oh, live events are gone. When live events came back, they came back better than ever because people are just so wanting to go out to parties. It's interesting though. I've noticed. I noticed this when I was in Berlin this past summer. Of like, I mean, I didn't notice it per se, but I was privy to people noticing it, like club owners and promoters. They were saying that like it's so hard to get like Gen Z or like whatever 18-year-old, 19-year-olds to come to parties because they're like they'd rather kind of like sit at home and multiplayer game or sit at home and be on Discord, or it's like you really have to like it's not enough to be like, hey, we have a crazy headliner and crazy art or whatever. You have to like add all these different elements for people to come out. Whether it's like an interactive area or immersive area or workshops or something like additional, because they don't have like we and whatever millennials, even like the outskirts of Gen Z, we know what events are like and why they're so much fun, right? And like where the power is. But like the younger Gen Z or even whatever the new Gen Z, I don't even know what is the new generation, Gen Alpha or some shit like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Whatever the kids, the freaking kids these days,
Right.
um they don't have like that kind of this, they don't have that connection really. Like clubbing or whatever, going to a party is not cool necessarily anymore. I guess it still is in some circles, but it's like kind of like, yeah, like the scene around a thing started 10, 15 years ago, and that generation is kind of like dwindling. We're getting older, and the younger generation finds other things more interesting. So, um, I think that like it kind of ties into what you're saying of like, yeah, it's job security where like events just have to evolve and become like a different type of thing, right? Like mixing different realities, mixing different modalities, whether it's workshops or art or something like this, and that's really where things shine, I think, and also where people are more interested to go to events. Um, So, okay, so when you're in school and I guess post school, you're kind of getting more and more into visuals. Are you also getting into MoGraph and 3D at the same time? Kind of like owning your skills kind of thing?
Right. Like hanging out with the Easy Baked crew, like they said something to me that was that, it might sound insulting and I don't mean it to come off in any type of way, but um they they talked about like producers versus DJs, you know what I mean? Just cats that like make their own music and like play their own music out versus cats that just download a bunch of music or have a playlist and use that, which there's nothing wrong with either or, you know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to shit on anybody. Uh, but having that understanding, I was like, okay, well, if I want to get into visuals and I want to get into like, showcasing the things that I want to showcase, should I focus more on the creation aspect or should I focus more on the show production aspect of like
Right.
setting stuff up? And that's kind of where I kind of like geared towards a little bit more MoGraph. But again, man, I was fortunate enough to still get some dope opportunities to do show production stuff because with the cast, we worked with a Halloween and stuff. They had a whole arsenal of projectors. So, every time we go out to work with them, it's, setting them up, breaking down, making sure, learning all about safety, a safety match, do the rigging it right, making sure everything's calibrated, like, you know what I mean? So there was definitely opportunities to do both in school. And then once I got out of school, kind of having the knowledge that I needed to have with like setting up projectors and like a little bit of LEDs, uh, that has gotten me to where I'm at right now. You know what I mean? Obviously, I've learned a lot since I graduated and since I kind of got fresh out of school and stuff. But it's helped me out. It helped me out a lot, man. It was definitely.
Oh yeah.
I think it was a good choice for sure.
Sounds like it for sure. Okay, cool. And then was the progression into I have like 2 points here. Like you have, getting into tunes. I know that's like kind of a thing that you like to do is like, tune shading and you have this little character and obviously your VJ name or artist name. And then also touch designer. I honestly didn't realize that you've been using touch designer for so long. I thought you were, a little bit newer to it, but it seems like you've been using it for like a good 5 or 6 years. So um, sorry for that. But yeah, I mean, like, just give me a little bit about, where this kind of fascination with the tunerverse, that sounds perverted, but the tuneverse comes in, um, and generative art. Like, where did you get into generative art? How did you find out about generative art and, touch designer in general?
So the tune shader stuff, I found out about like tune shading in one of like my 3D classes. You know what I mean? We
Uh-huh.
were kind of learning about like the basics of 3D and
Uh-huh.
materials and stuff, and they kind of showed us the tune shader, and I was like, oh, dude, like you can. That's a cool concept. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
working in 2D in a 3D space seems like a fun idea to kind of mess around with. Um, so I learned the basics of 3D and stuff, and then as soon as I could, I kind of started applying. Um, my own kind of idea into the tune shaders. I like to throw in a lot of like what's it called? Like the CMYK patterns where it looks like a comic book. I forget what it's called.
Oh yeah,
Halftone. There you go.
halftone
Like some,
thing.
what I mean? It kind of adds some cool gradients and
Yeah.
just kind of playing around with like some graphic design principles with like blending and kind of like layering stuff and kind of composition and stuff. It's gotten me a lot of really fun results.
Hmm.
I haven't messed around too much with the Blender tune tutorial or tune material as much,
Mm-hmm.
um, but definitely got to get back into it. And then with the touch designer stuff, I I'm a very impatient person. You know what I mean? Like I like to see results quickly, especially when it comes to like working on computers and stuff. And I know that's kind of like a flaw, but as soon as I found out about generative art, it was kind of like a light bulb went off because it was almost immediate results. There's obviously some building and a few things that you got to take care of beforehand, but
Yeah. Yeah.
the immediate interaction and like the interactivity that you have with procedural networks and procedural pieces is just super interesting, man. Because you're
Mm.
literally watching a computer kind of. do art. You know what I mean? Like you're
Yeah.
giving it these
Yeah.
parameters and you're giving it these settings, and you're kind of telling it, okay, this is what I want you to do with this information, and you're
Mm,
kind of seeing it happen in real time, and just knowing kind of a little bit of the history of like how far graphic design has come, and you know what people like Refik Anadol are doing, for example, with
yeah.
procedural networks, and you know what I mean, is fucking awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like the
Totally.
monolith stuff that he's doing is super
Totally.
insane. A few years back at Art Basel, I got the opportunity to go out to his like the beach monolith that he did
Nice.
right there in South Beach, and that was incredible. You know what I mean? Like just kind of seeing like the power of computers, man, and like what they can do just like visually is stunning, bro. And I got into that with an instructor. Her name is Synthestruct. She's
Mm-hmm.
like a local legend out here in Orlando. She's not honestly, she's like international. She's done a few stuff out in
Yeah, I gotta
Asia
check
and
her
like
out.
Europe and stuff like
Synthastruck.
that.
Synthastruck.
Synthestruct with the Y. Yeah,
Okay.
CYN.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, I found her. Yeah. Oh, cool. Oh,
She's
never.
badass,
Oh,
man.
cool. I think I know her. Sorry. Yeah. Continue.
Ginger is a boss, man.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, dude,
I
she
got
does
my
a
I got
lot
my
of
next guest.
yeah, dude, she does a lot of really cool install work, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She does some cool stuff out here at the Science Center with some Mimu gloves, kind of the same thing
Cool.
that Imogen Heap kind of
Yeah.
popularized. She did a whole like dome show with it. It was like audio visual.
Sick.
It was sick. She's done some cool stuff with like brain scanner where you're working with your theta, your beta, and your alpha waves in your
Super
brain, and you're
cool.
kind of
Yeah.
creating the visuals with your brain.
Love
She's
it.
a wizard, bro. She's a whole alien from another planet, man.
Totally. So you
And for
got to learn
anyone
with her?
that is
Oh, sorry.
yeah, man. She was a Photoshop instructor when I was there at Full Sail, and right after my time, she kind of branched out of there and was doing some freelance work. And now her and her husband are they own a meadery out here
Uh
in
huh.
Orlando. It's super
Wow.
sick. It's called Zimmerium. They do some really fun stuff. They do a lot of artist meetup out there too. Like they'll do some touch designer stuff. They'll do some like some
Super cool.
synthesizer stuff. It's yeah, she's a real lady of the community, man. Like she's and again, just super fortunate to have her in my circle and just have been able to learn from her. And she was a big influence in not only like the geometric style that I try to work on and develop, but also kind of the muted colors and the black and white, and she's got that aesthetic going for her pretty heavily. So she's a big influence on that too, man. And yeah, man, and yeah, yeah.
Yeah, her stuff looks super cool. I definitely have seen it before. I just never put the name to it. But yeah, I mean, it's like kind of what we said at the beginning. It's so nice to have an instructor to kind of like bounce things off of, especially one that's like, at a high level that can really like give you some clarity and direction and focus. Um, so that's really cool. And yeah, I mean, generative art is just one of those things. It's like there's so many different ways to do it. Obviously, like I think the funnest or most conducive way to like do it is real time, because you're just kind of like getting results in real time. Or just yeah, exactly, you're kind of like going back and forth and iterating with the computer. um, but yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to do it. Like generative art is such a vast kind of like a thing to do. Code based or art that's kind of like math function based or being made by the computer, like you said. Um, Super cool. Okay, so we're kind of like at this point where you're doing your MoGraph, you're doing 3D, you've gotten into touch designer, you're getting into generative art. Then like, what is the shift going from school slash getting into the scene with the different people you were following around and doing stuff with? What is the shift from there to like working with brands, working with commercial projects, finding clients, and just I guess in general like VJing and working inside of the industry.
It was definitely a scary jump, you know what I mean? Going from kind of having your hand being held into uh, a world where it's kind of dog eat dog, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you don't have a lot of chances to fuck up with if you're freelancing.
yeah,
But I'm again, man, just blessed to say that even after school, um, shout out to my homie BJ Omni, like he was another instructor at school. Like him and I have stayed super, super close. He's thrown me a couple bones. Like Lord knows he's saved me a couple times, and even working with like smaller clubs, and kind of like trying to make my own way through the industry, working with like cats that I get introduced to by the Easy Baked crew, like cats that they were doing shows with, that I kind of like segued my way into like, hey man, by the way, I do visuals if you ever want to work.
right.
Um, it's scary, but it's been weird, man. Like I feel like I've always had like a mentor there, or someone that I can learn from. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like I've never felt alone, especially like navigating through like EDM and shows and stuff like that. Um, there was definitely a period of time when I, imposter syndrome is definitely a thing we all experience, I'm sure.
Totally.
You know, it's
Yeah,
not easy
unavoidable.
to see people on social media, and doing this and doing that or doing whatever, and trying to stay focused on your, trying to stay in your own lane. Um, but hopping into like a scene that is constantly growing, I feel like um, helps a lot. You meet a lot of people that are either in very similar positions as you, or have very recently been in positions that you were in, so they understand very, very closely to what you're going through, and
Uh-huh.
they're able to relate with you a lot more, and that
Mm-hmm.
just that helps out a ton, man. Just I feel like um hopping into like shows, and trying to freelance doing that, it hasn't always been easy, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And right now I'm kind of like, I just got done working with the club that I was working with because of some nonsense, but still, even through there, made some good connections, and kind of was able to step out of that, and keep going without getting too big of a hit on the career. You know what I mean? Like without just kind of
Mm-hmm.
having to start from ground zero. Um, there was right when I graduated, I started working with an ad agency out here in Orlando.
Uh-huh.
They had kind of like a mother company out in California, but one of their big offices was out here in Orlando, just because it's a big hub for
Mm-hmm.
commercial work. You know what I mean? Just because you can shoot
Mm-hmm.
year round, and it's going to be sunny, and the grass is green, and the
Right.
leaves are green, and there's no, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I got to see a little bit of that side of the industry as well, as far as an animator and graphic designer goes. And I like both worlds, man. Getting to sit
Mm-hmm.
in a comfortable office, close to some good food, where you can kind of um, come and go as you please, in a sense. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's not as you don't have as much freedom as you would if you were VJing at a festival, for example.
Yeah.
But um, it's not, you're not as constricted as a working at a dead end job, where you're at a gas station, or you're at a
For
Walmart, or you're at a
sure.
retail store.
For
You know what I
sure.
mean? Like you have you feel the freedom, where you're like, oh, I can just go out and grab a coffee, and come back and finish my work, and go out and grab some lunch, and it's okay if I stayed a little bit extra 15 minutes, as long as I come in and do my work. You know what I mean? It was a
Mm-hmm.
different it was an introduction to a different style of work, and a different like lifestyle. um, I'm not gonna lie, I felt a little out of place, just kind of coming in from such a
Really.
rambunctious industry. You know what I mean? Even like graduating from a school where a lot of the people that I worked with went to,
Right.
I felt a little out of place, just because no one really went to festivals, and no one was really into like the trippy animations, and I was getting into like much more corporate design and much more structured
Mm-hmm.
design with
Mm-hmm.
your bumpers are a lot more restricted.
Mm.
Um, and again, man, like there's a lot of fun in that too. You know what I mean? Like kind of having a structure and knowing what you have to do uh also alleviates a lot of the pressure of like not knowing what to do. You know what I mean?
For
Not
sure.
knowing
For sure. For
how you
sure.
want the piece to come or how you know what I mean. So that was
For sure.
a lot of fun. Obviously the pay is is well, you know what I mean? Like I can't
Yeah.
complain about the pay there.
For sure.
So that was fun getting to experience that a little bit. Getting paid to be creative and getting paid to do some animations and some video work, and then you get to go home. I was like, oh, dude, this is sweet. Um, but I am gearing more now, especially more towards like show production, and I just started working with a production company out here in Orlando that works with a lot of the hotels and like Disney and like International Drive and kind of like the big tourist areas.
Nice.
So I'm excited to do that. You know what I mean? Excited to kind of dive in and start from the ground up and
Mm-hmm.
learn the production side of it. You know what I mean? I feel like I've spent a good amount of time on my creative and like programs and um even recently I kind of started picking up on Comfy UI thanks
Yeah.
to Palpa. Shout out Palpa.
Shout out.
Um, so you know what I mean? I feel like I've gotten like a pretty good handle on the creative side of it. Like I'm not afraid to step into new software and a few months back, like maybe 2 years ago actually, like I tried to get into Unreal and a little bit
Mm-hmm.
of Houdini.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the computer that I have is just not really like
Mm.
I have like a 2070 on here, so it's still not really like
Mm.
beefy enough to give me what I want to do in Houdini and
Right. Right.
Unreal out. So I'm kind of putting that on the pin board and coming back when I have a little bit better gear. So just being patient. Um, but yeah, man, like I said, bro, it's ups and downs kind of teach you to really value the moments that you're when you're up, man. You know what I mean? Like especially when uh like recently, I was working over at racetrack for the longest time, man, like 4 or 5 months, just because I couldn't really find any steady work. So that was super humbling. You know what I mean? But even then, like finding ways to like make the creativity work and still finding like little gigs here and there and little freelance projects here and there, and kind of like keeping that creativity going just really showed me like this is it. You know what I mean? Like, there's no even if I have to do bullshit work and work at gas stations or work at whatever, like I'm like this is what I'm just gonna keep doing for the rest of my life, bro. It's awesome, man.
Hell yeah, dude. And also like the humbling experience. First of all, I commend you for humbling yourself and doing what you need to do to keep your shit going. That's not easy. That's not easy, especially going to work at a place like a gas station is difficult. You know,
Yeah.
regardless of your age and your creed and where you're from and everything like that, it's like, you know, you got to swallow a lot. And then especially if you're like a working person and you have like, a career and all these things. But again, I think I'm kind of getting who you are more and more, and you're very, you're like a go-getter attitude with a very positive mindset where it's like, it doesn't really matter what you're going to get as long as you're going to get something, it's going to turn out good for you. It's like that, that snowball. I haven't brought this up in a while, but this, the snowball of good. If you feel good, if you do good, good shit is going to happen because it's just how the universe works. It's magnetism, it's like the way that things kind of attract, and, manifestation, whatever you want to call it, karma, whatever. So, if you're in a position where feeling good and doing good and, being in a good place is like going to the gas station, it doesn't matter. Like your mindset is like, it doesn't matter. I need to, pay my rent. I need to do my thing, and everything's going to kind of like culminate. And that's like, I wish I had that ability, like, maybe I'm like just too, maybe I have too much, like ways of, like rebounding myself or like grounding myself that like, and I mean like in terms of like finances, right? You know, like if I ever reach like a certain level, then I know I can get help from my parents if I need it, you know, or I have friends that can help me out if I really need it. And like, you know, that's kind of like, in a way, yeah, I don't know. It's like adversity really fuels things. You know, that's really like how it is. Now that adversity is like super subjective, right? Like I don't need to have like a death in my immediate family to be an artist, but like if I had everything given to me as a silver spoon and I never, you know, had to like do anything, and that adversity could be like even like losing weight or whatever, you know, like adversity is so subjective, but it's like once you're given that like opportunity to like force yourself or push yourself and coming out of that and managing to do it, like you said, like you put in the work, you're going to get creative juice, you're going to get inspiration, you're going to get something that's like, you know, more than just I don't know, whatever, given to you in a way. Which is interesting, you know, it's like kind of like because again, like I think it's subjective. Like you can be, you know, I'm like not nepotism. I'm not like, I don't have nepotism. My parents aren't that rich. You know, like I didn't grow up like that. But even people that have nepotism can still have adversity, right? You can still have that adversity, and that's really where it's at. Anyway, yeah. So super cool, and like your insight into like working with brands, I think is super super awesome. It's important, you know, it's important to kind of see that world. You know, whether you stay in it or make a career out of it, like being privy to how like corporations and commercial projects work is so useful. Even if you don't stay in that world, it's useful because maybe you want to know how not to be in that world, you know. So it's just it's a good thing to do, even if you're like at the ground level and you're not even planning on working up the ladder. It's like super super good to see into that and peek into that world if you can. And yeah, for your portfolio to say that you worked with brand A and brand B is also really powerful. You know, it definitely helps. I mean, it's funny because it's like, you know, you'd think, oh, if I worked with McDonald's or Nike, then, you know, oh, I'm a sellout or whatever. But not really, you know, it really depends on, yeah, exactly. You're getting that. You literally selling out could be a very positive thing.
That's
You
right
know,
there, baby.
and putting that on your resume or on your website is like, it's invaluable, you know. Unfortunately, we live in a world where people, you know, see signals and see, you know, logos or numbers, and that's how they decide if you're good or not. And that's maybe not fair, and maybe not like how we want to decide that, or you know, or not. But that's just how the world kind of functions. So, yeah, I think it's like it's a good thing to kind of find your balance within it. Awesome. I'd love to shift now into your set. I'm really excited to see what you're gonna show us here. Excited. So yeah, take it away, Juan.
Yeah, man. So yeah, this is a project that I just got done, or that I'm about to be done. I got Adobe's kind of some errors. For a homie that I did for an album cover. Um,
Sick.
this is kind of, you know what I mean, the how it's gonna look. This is a 3D portion of it. I still got to do some Photoshop and some Illustrator stuff, add some overlays, add the
Yeah.
text, add a couple different things into that. But we'll break it down a little bit into like how like each kind of thing is going along. So I usually try to start out with like I made I didn't I bought this guy forever ago, and I've just been using him because he's got like a full rig on him.
Oh, cool. You can
So I'll
set him up
start
however you
out
want.
with, yeah, no, I'll start out with like this guy and kind of like set him up. You know what I mean? Just kind of like give him a nice little composition in the center. Um, and it usually trades off between like the geometric pieces or the cyber sigil stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll kind of like go through each little piece here. So each
Ah,
piece is
interesting.
just a drawing that's been smoothed out and kind of extruded out a little bit. Like the geometry is still not fantastic. Um, you know, the materials kind of help it uh, sharpen up a little bit and kind of do a couple more things. But I usually try to like I've been working a lot with like symmetry, you know what I mean? Like symmetry is just like very pleasing to the eye, you know what I
Of
mean? Like
course.
anytime you kind of see things kind of split symmetrically, it's just it automatically like registers well um in your brain. But now I'm kind of starting to get into a little bit more of like more into like the color theory aspect of it and kind of trying to mess around with single color palettes where I have either a dark background or a light background, and I'll add in like a touch of something, like a touch of gold, and just kind of let the other piece kind of speak for itself. Um, Here, see if I can find one of the uh, wrapped up folders. Oh no, not it. There we go. So like, yeah, my Photoshop
Sick.
and my Adobe license is kind of not, it's giving me some trouble for whatever reason. I gotta
Go to
fucking
Affinity,
figure out
bro.
what's going on.
Fuck
But
Photoshop.
yeah, you know what I mean. Oh yeah, and yeah, GIMP too, dude. Like I actually,
GIMP.
now that you say
GIMP's
that,
great.
I don't know why I haven't thought about that. Um, I'll go into Photoshop and Illustrator, and Illustrator, I have a couple of different project files where it's assets, and I mean like cyberpunk assets and kind of like overlays and HUD overlays and just things like that. And I'll try to make a symmetrical version of it. See if I can find one, guys. Projects. Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, just gonna. Here we go. Like I'll try to do something like this to kind of give it a little bit more detail in the background. It's just kind of like a background sort of thing where it's still symmetrical, but you can't really see it too well. You know what I mean? You can kind of notice it a little bit here and there. It just kind of adds like this really cool like this cyberpunk like futuristic kind of aesthetic
Yeah.
to the whole piece. And I've been really drawn into like brutalist and kind of cyberpunk and like Y2K sort of design that I've been seeing a lot of on Instagram. And then I'll go in and add just other assets, dude. Like this dude design dot syndrome has some really cool uh it's like design guides, like kind of like safety guides, and it's like kind of like
Huh.
those types of images where it's like very simple but very like informative. You know what I mean? It has like
Yeah.
heights and like a lot of numbers and a lot of like little kind of tiny details that
Yeah.
just add a lot of really interesting detail to a piece that's already really really heavy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I know we
Yeah.
talked a
Yeah. Yeah.
little bit about uh working with minimalism and kind of working like trying to think like that. um Working with the cyber sagittal stuff has been really fun just because it kind of goes in the opposite way. You know what I mean? Like you have these really intricate kind of wild designs that I guess they don't look like they would work together, but it's just really fun kind of making them fit like a puzzle and kind of seeing how everything works together. You know what I mean? Like it's um and then seeing like depth and kind of messing around with like very simple concepts, man, because like as you can see there's not a whole lot to the pieces, you know what I mean, to the 3D aspect of it. It's just a couple different like layers and then the guy in the middle. But then when you kind of look at it from a like a straight on perspective, it kind of really changes things up. So working in 3D is also just as soon as I like kind of started diving into it, I started out with C4D, but um I'm still learning a lot about Blender, which I feel like is why I haven't really like dove as fully into like animation and that kind of deal. Like I'm still learning a lot about the modifiers and how they work with your geometry. And C4D is a little bit different in the workflow. So kind of juggling in between like Touch Designer and Comfy UI and this is,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really taken the time out to like fully like develop out my Blender skills as much as I'd really like to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, it's still a lot of fun here. We'll pop in a little. Speaking of animation, like um, as I'm saying that, like I started diving into more animation work with some homies that do events out here in Orlando called Daylight.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I kind of started. I wanted to bring a little bit more to the table than just like a 3D graphic for a flyer. So
Mm-hmm.
I was working a lot with like I saw it's not Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is a different is a different
Definitely not
we
Ben
don't want to talk about
Shapiro.
that. Yeah, no. Robert Shapiro, I think is his name. He's a
Okay.
C4D cat who a while back, I want to say, like back when kind of like NFTs were really popping.
Yeah.
Um, he like kind of came out of the blue and was doing some really cool loop animations with just kind of boxes and like these dancing flamingos and um, I wanted to recreate that a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and see if I could do that same idea in Blender. So did it, you know what I mean? Kind of like followed a couple tutorials, kind of did the whole thing, and this was a lot of fun to get into, man. Obviously, it's not there's not a whole lot going on. It's really mostly just camera work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, coming from a TV production background, um, understanding cameras here, it's helped a lot. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of helped me like understand like flow of camera and a little bit of like the jitter and you know what I mean? Like just kind of like little concepts that we learned back in high school. I'm still applying to things that I'm doing now, which is, kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, like these have been really fun to kind of dive into. Um, you know what I mean? Just kind of little simple loops where it just kind of starts and ends in the same place. So it's just for social media pretty much.
Super cool.
Um,
But it's a
yeah, man,
great
I'm
like
trying to get
interactive, not interactive, but it's a great like immersive flyer. Um,
total.
I also love like you know it's very easy to take something like this and forget that the point of it is to promote like something, you know.
Right.
Um, but you're doing it in such a good way that like the text is on screen for enough time. There's enough focus on the text. It's almost like no matter at what point you are in the animation, even with your little camera twist to the side, you're always seeing the text, which is such a important part to kind of like what the point of this thing is, you know.
Right. And like this kind of all ties into like the whole you know, working with ad agencies and that kind
Yeah.
of idea. Like there's still a lot of things that I learned from them that I applied to animation that I do now and like graphic design and designs that I do today.
Right.
So even though the industries are pretty vastly different, one is events, one is really just film and commercial stuff. Um, it all blends together, man. Like if you have an open mind and if you're really able to uh sit down and really take in every single situation, like you can morph that and into whatever you like, man. Like
Yeah.
that's another dope part about design and animation and VJing and all this other stuff, man. Like there's not one way to do it. You know what I mean? There's obviously things that you
Totally.
have to do as far as like programs and buttons that you got to click and settings that you got to have and whatever. But once your creativity kind of takes over and you're able to kind of do whatever you want, you can literally do whatever you want. You know what I mean? It's
Totally.
it's 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 fucking cool, man.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, so these guys have been a lot of fun. Like I've been trying to like the big reason why I started making like perfect loops was diving into comfy UI. Uh you can use renders and kind of video pieces to drive the animation of the final piece inside of comfy. So you can kind of get very similar motion, but just different video from it. So I tried to build out like a couple different ones. This was kind of the last one I really built out before I started getting lazy and just been using this. Um, but what's it called? What was I going to say? But oh yeah, so the reason why I started building out the loops was to use them inside of Comfy UI. They like Comfy UI, like with the computer that I have, we might not be able to get to like a full render inside of it just because it takes like about 45 minutes, like an hour to render out a little 10-second piece.
Yeah.
Um, Again, upgrade your graphics cards. You know, but we'll run through some of the final pieces, and we'll kind of run through a little bit of the workflow and kind of like this isn't my workflow. Like I'm not gonna lie, like I'm kind of writing off of the tutorial that Palpa put out. Um, but we might actually be able to run through like some of the image generation stuff because that's pretty quick, and it's all pretty similar. You know what I mean? It all kind of ties together, and it all like one thing. Like the image generation is just like the condensed version of the pipeline that we have that that Papa built out. Um,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean? And then after that, we'll get into a little bit of touch designer stuff. I'll kind of dive into that a little bit and just do a little bit of open up some of the programs, some of the projects that I was working on over at the club,
Are you
and then yeah, man, we'll go from there.
fuck yeah. Are you building your own data sets as well? Like cuz we had Isosceles on a few weeks ago, I guess now, and he was talking about also like some stuff from Palpa, how he built data sets and things like that. Are you doing that, or are you just kind of focusing more on just the workflow of video generation and style generation and stuff like that?
Yeah, no, no. So I'm building out the whole shebang. Well, as much as I can. You know what I mean? I don't want to
Right.
like
Right.
over. You
No,
know,
no,
I don't
but
want to like
there's
oversell
yeah,
myself here.
no,
Um,
but if you're building your own data set or if you're, training a model, then that is a shebang.
Yeah, I mean, like the data set thing isn't as far as like training models yet. I mean, I guess like
Mhm.
I don't know if like what
Kind
I'm
of.
doing with Comfy UI is training a model. I haven't like
Gotcha.
fully understood it that far. But
Gotcha.
yeah, like I'll go into like Mid-Journey, you know what I mean, to
Mhm.
kind of
Mhm.
build out like 70, 80, 40, however many images. I'll go into Google and stuff like that too, and kind of like download some pictures and see like if I'm not really like getting the results out of Mid-Journey, I'll kind of mix it in a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
but yeah, man, like that's also a fun process. That kind of like the whole like building out the data sets thing kind of like worked hand in hand with the club too, because they had three screens, like three TV vertical screens that they wanted some artwork displayed on. The
Mhm.
owner eventually, you know, bugged me to make some AI stuff because he just wanted to like just quickly stuff that would, you know, I can make quickly.
Yeah.
So I started diving into Midjourney just because I was kind of like the most immediate way to do that, and then I would like quickly fell in love with Midjourney. Now I use it pretty
Mm.
religiously for other stuff. You know what I mean? Just kind of go in and mess
Concepts
around and
and
just
things like that.
yeah, you know what I mean? Just kind of like going and make some silly pictures or make some cool stuff. And but
Nice.
this is a new workflow that they just put out in the like the new version of Comfy UI. I'm kind of trying it out. It's
Yeah.
a text to video model.
Mhm.
Not as like complex as the Palpa model, the Palpa workflow. It's a little bit more simplified. So here you kind of have your diffusion model, which is um, kind of like your style of like the way that it was explained to me was like your diffusion is your like the type of food that you want. You know what I mean? If you're gonna go out to a
Mhm.
restaurant, you're like, I want some pizza, I want some Chinese, I want some
Mhm.
kebabs, I want some whatever. Your clip also kind of does very similar things. You know what I mean? It kind of acts as like I don't want to say like a menu, but it acts like as I want you to look like this, and I want you to do this type of what I mean? And I'm working right now with Juan 2. It's like a new video thing that just came out, and
Yep.
I haven't really dove as far that into it.
Yep.
The LoRa loader, that's a little bit of a little things that I'm trying to add into the workflow. So your LoRa is kind of like another stylizer, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. Kind of like another guideline for again, to kind of break it down into like restaurant terms, like um I want it to be Gordon Ramsay cooking my lamb, or I want it to be
Right.
fucking, I don't know, Steve Aoki, whatever. Steve Aoki's dad. I know he's not that great of a guy, but
Eh,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
I don't want to get too much into the lore of that, but then this is where it's kind of interesting, because very similarly to Midjourney and your text to image and your text to video prompts, you have your positive prompt, which kind of guides a comfy UI uh, into the direction that you want. So, once you're at the restaurant, once you have your food selection, this is like, okay, I want it with, garlic on top, and also on the side, I want garlic nuts, and I want whatever, you know what I mean? Kind of a
Yeah.
little bit more of a
I
detailed
love
out
this.
version of what you
I love
want
this
it.
food analogy. This is great.
That's the way it makes, like, there's
It's
a
good.
really dope guy. His name is Pixarama. He's got some cool tutorials like that break it down literally from like the most basic like text to image generator. He kind of builds it out with you, and that just made the most sense to me. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh, okay, like that's a good way of breaking it down, man. Like, I think I'm gonna use that.
Mm-hmm.
But then the negative prompt acts as a filter. You know what I mean? So unlike like Midjourney and these other like generators that are out there kind of free or paid or whatever, you have a little bit more control over what you're inputting and what you're outputting.
Right.
I know that with Midjourney you can still kind of get pretty detailed out with the prompts and stuff like that, but with this is just kind of a cool way to filter out both. You can kind of really focus on like what you want, and then you can kind of focus on like the things that you don't want without really messing with the flow of the first prompt,
Mm-hmm.
which is really interesting. And then your K sampler here is kind of your chef cooking it. You know what I mean? This is kind of like the
Yeah.
kitchen, kind of doing the heavy lifting, really.
Yeah.
Your VAE decode is this really interesting thing that Comfy UI does. I don't know if every single workflow does this, but
I
um,
think it's implied. I'm not 100% sure.
right, like
There's probably
it.
different ways of doing the same thing, and Comfy uses a VA decoder for sure.
So like it when it's processing all the information that you gave it, you know what I mean? So like the style, the other style, the prompt and stuff, it doesn't break it down into um like video or frames or anything like that. It breaks it down into like literally just numbers. And your VAE decoder kind of gets all of the numbers and all of the data that the K sampler put together and makes it into a video or an image. Or this is kind of like this is kind of like the plating of the full thing. And then
Mm-hmm.
here's just like a little video image, like a preview thing where you can kind of, you know what I mean? These guys take a little bit just because, again, not the best system right now, but if I get these guys going, close this guy out. Okay. Yeah, so again, your checkpoint is pretty much the same thing as your beginning part, you know what I mean? Kind of like
Your model.
okay, I can't think. Right, your models. There we go. So this is like your beginning model. Again, like, I want this kind of style, this kind of whatever. Um, yeah, this is cool. Again, this is kind of just another little stylized thing for it. I found this on a website called, it's not Hugging Face, but it's like
Savati.
Civity
Sivati.
Civati. There we go.
Savati. Yeah, Savati.
That is where you're gonna find most of your LoRa models,
Yeah.
your checkpoint models. You can find a lot of information on there as well. There's it's like a blog kind of like mixed in with file sharing and stuff like that. So they have a lot of like repositories too where you can find older versions, and it's actually a really cool site. I'm surprised I'm just now finding about. Yeah, we'll just kind of run this guy. So again, the same similar deal. Your positive, your negative prompts. You can do the conditioning is a little bit extra thing that you can do. This is disabled right now, but you can add. This is another stylized, like another LoRa model sort of thing that I'm adding into it, but I'm not really using it right now. You can add this LoRa, like a completely different style with a different prompt, and then this guy kind of combines the two, so it merges the two together and kind of working out some different stuff.
Hmm.
Um, Hopefully it renders out quickly, but if not, let's open up. We'll leave that guy kind of running in the back. Um, so about Robinson hitting Woods template. Yeah, we can open this guy up. This is pretty cool. I just did like a little like YouTube sort of template for my boy Haven
Hmm.
Woods.
Hmm. Nice.
Just kind of like something that he can quickly just upload, you know what I mean? Like just upload a
Yeah.
song into it, change the visuals around, change a couple things
Cool.
around, and then
Like
bada
audio
bing, bada boom, it's
visualizer.
a brand new video.
I love it,
You know what
dude.
I mean?
Sick. Super nice.
Um, yeah,
Is
thanks,
that generative
man.
art?
Well, yeah, this is all Touch Designer right here, man. This
I'm
is
joking. I'm
all
joking.
yeah. I was gonna say, what? I thought you knew about this stuff, man. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. But yeah, man. So I got a little bit. Everything is audio reactive. You know what I'm saying? Like everything's kind of going to this guy right here. Well, this is the audio analysis thing. Where's the music? Where are you at? Where are you at? There we go. So these two, if we play this guy, whatever. If we had the music going, you'd hear uh Actor Fool, sick track. Shout out Havenwood. But yeah, man, it's all reacting to the music. Kind of got different kicks going, so that it's not all kind of doing the same thing. You know what I mean? Different levels for
Interesting.
everything. Um, you got your lows, got your mids, got your highs, got your, you know
So
what I
you're
mean? And
you have like
then
a
going
you
back
have
to,
like sorry, this is fascinating.
no, 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 good.
You have a few different kicks. Like you're getting the kick in all four of them, but you're switching it a little bit, or like whatever. You're getting the mids in both of them, but you're switching a little bit of what's happening in each one.
Just kind of changing
That's
the
so
levels
smart.
around, like just ever so slightly. So it's still
Right.
not too big of a contrast to where they're, you know what I mean? Like they're doing something that the mid would do or the high would be
Right.
doing. But just adding a little bit of variance, like like we were saying earlier, man, just like a little bit of tiny, like the slight variances and like the slight little like offsets, like they make a big difference. Like believe it or not, man, like
Totally.
it's, and to the general public, they may not really see it, but to
No,
a
but it's
trained
the
eye,
under
they'll be able to
levels.
kind of,
And I
yeah.
get, this is the whole thing of like, oh, the trained audience know, like whatever, the professionals know and the audience doesn't know. Dude, the subconscious of the general population picks up everything. Even if it's not, even if they don't know what they're picking up something. So, I
It's
really, I
still
really
there.
can commend you on that, because that's really, those small things make such a huge difference.
It like it separates the boys from the men essentially. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to just set up. You know what I mean? To just get this guy, break out the lows, the mids, the highs, and the kicks, and then just route everything to the same thing, and then okay, yeah, you're
Right.
done. But why not, like, see how different you can make it without breaking it? You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's where the fun starts to really come into play, man. And then just typography has also been like uh a big inspiration. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I had a typography class in school, and the instructor actually went to school with Andre Jones. He went over to Ringling at the same time that he
Wow.
was there, and he told us some really cool stories. You know what I mean? Like as we can all assume, like the man was a beast from day one. Like he told us some really like awesome stories about like they would find him like sketching stuff out and they'd be like, Jesus, like you're not even a human being, man. So it's just
Right.
cool to like see little connections to like because he's always been a huge inspiration. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm. Hmm.
um as I can assume for a lot of other people too, man. So just finding like little kind of like synchronicities like that, even uh during school especially because like you hear a lot about like school is a scam and this and that and the other and I'm not
Hmm.
gonna lie
Hmm.
man like Full Sail shout out my parents all day long for helping me out with that man like it
Hell
would
yeah.
never have been possible without them, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I put in the work too, like I can't really sell myself too short on that, but yeah, man, just finding little like synchronicities like that where you're like, okay, like I feel like I'm on the right path here. Like this is all kind of
Hmm.
coming together and like just hearing little stories like that goes such a long way, man. But I don't think this is the right project. But yeah, typography has always been like a really big um inspiration too, man. Just like the way that letter forms and shapes kind of interact with each other and trying to find like interesting ways to kind of make type uh work in a screen, and kind of going back to the ad agency experience too, like um all these things kind of like culminate, you know what I mean? Because especially with ads, like your type and your placement of type and how they animate on, how they animate off, like what they're doing while they're on screen, what they're doing, like all these little things matter, man. And um, Touch Designer is just kind of a beast for uh giving you a million different options to do the same
I love
thing. You
this.
know what I mean? So with
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
guy, we got
It's also once you
some
build a
cool like kinetic.
system, once you build a system, then you can just like, play around with it in so many different ways. And now you have like, multiple different visuals or loops or whatever, or content that is kind of all in the same language, right? Is all kind of like in the same universe.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like that's another thing I love about Touch Designer, man, is like once you have your base kind of built out, like you're like, okay, this is what I want it to do. Branching out from there and going in a million different directions is literally
Yeah.
just 2, 3 nodes away. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's awesome, man. And like also like I can't like procedural work too, man. Just having it run on its own too, bro. It's like an endless visual, granted limiting your computing power and whatever, but you know what I mean? Like having something that you can walk away from and still generate and still kind of like do it is like as a VJ, that's a tool that I don't want to tell anybody what to do, but I feel like is extremely helpful, man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's super clutch just being able to like, okay, I'm gonna stand out. I gotta go to the bathroom or I gotta, do whatever I gotta do. Trying to see why it's not. Oh, that's why. Cam. So I should have I found a way to like switch out between these geometry nodes or the camera nodes because they don't really have like a switch into them. So we'll just do just kind of different camera angles and just kind of different places for the camera to be. Even like again, man, little things like that just kind of, you know, automatically kind of change the whole composition of the um of the piece. And then here we got a couple different things going on. So we'll start out at the bottom and we'll mess around with some of this, maybe make it a little bit bigger. Oh wait, no. Let's go back to the camera. No, screw it. We can mess around with this a little bit. So the scale, maybe make the scale a little bit bigger. Now let's just go to let's do the camera stuff. Go camera one. What we can do is just maybe go down on the noise. No, that's a little bit much. Grid. Go down on the grid. 10 and 10. Okay, see? And then, dude, like it's like I'm already getting like I'm already like getting lost in this sauce, man. He's kind of diving back into projects that you know what I mean? Like you haven't touched in a little bit, it's always like, oh, what does this guy do? What does this guy do?
I love
So
watching you
like,
do it. It's great.
yeah, man, the beauty of touch designer is like it's all like I said, man. Like I'm a very impatient person, bro. So like, as soon as I found procedural networks, it was a game changer, bro. Because
For
you're
sure.
telling me I can just do this, and then it's doing something different. Like that's amazing, dude. Like that's everyone's dream right there, man. Obviously, like I value the work process and the workflow that goes into 3D and like animation and especially like video editing too. Like I still really enjoy um editing videos and stuff like that. I don't really post a whole lot of what I do, but I just kind of grab stuff off of YouTube and just mess around on After Effects. Um but yeah, man, it's just it's all just just such a fun way of exploring graphics and just kind of getting different results. And um, like I said, man, like typography has always just been a really big part of what I enjoy doing and why I got into animation. You know what I mean? Like I've always been really drawn to finding some creative ways to kind of make type work as a visual. So touch designer is just kind of a powerhouse for that, man, because you have a million different ways to do this. What is this guy doing? Yeah, see, this guy's already doing something else. And then like this is something I learned from Ginger from Synthestruct. Like I like having things organized. And like I'm kind of like a little bit OCD. Like obviously I don't want to like self-diagnose myself and all that going on. But I just love the way that like node networks look too, man. Like it's just such a
Oh yeah,
clean, like once you really
totally.
know what you're looking at, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah,
uh
yeah.
it just
Being
looks
the
so cool,
readability,
man. You know what I
right?
mean?
The readability of like,
Yeah.
and especially if you can pass it to somebody who's just getting into it, and you're just like, hey, check this out, and then and you're like, oh, I get this, you know, and it's like yeah, you speak the same language as other people. It's great.
Oh yeah. And like the versatility too, because like it doesn't have to be organized for it to work. You know what I mean? Like that's also the beautiful part about it, man. It's like it doesn't like there's no right or wrong way to really structure this out. Because I've obviously seen some crazy setups where like the nodes is it's spaghetti monsters and you know what I mean, like it's
Yeah,
all over the place and it works perfectly. It's a beautiful piece, but um it's just dope seeing like how people's because this is kind of like an insight of how people work. You know what I mean? Obviously, every program is a little bit of an insight of people's workflow and how they do things, and you know what I mean. But I think node networks really show you like how people organize and how people's brain is really, really working around. Because like, you'll have nodes that are, way over here for some reason, and you're like, oh, what are they doing? But then they'll tie into something that's going, way down here, and then it's such a cool way of editing and just working and just kind of getting results out of getting ideas out. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Let's see how this guy's doing. Oh yeah, this guy finished up.
Oh damn,
So
look at that.
um,
Sick.
yeah, you know what I mean. So I got it set it up kind of like a mid-journey
So you have
setup
four
where it's like it
options.
prompts out four. Yeah, but you can out here in the batch size, like this guy kind of sets the size with size, and you can get this up to 100 if you really want to. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit longer to generate, but yeah, man, Comfy UI is another really fun program that I've started kind of diving into. Palpa is obviously like a huge, huge, huge inspiration. Um, just AI, like I know AI gets a lot of hate, you know what I'm saying? Like and I can understand why, you know what I mean? Like I do think that it is giving access to something that was once, I guess, considered sacred. You know what I mean? Like the art of animation, the art of 3D, the art of graphic design. Um, I think people feel a little bit insulted by that, and
Totally.
I can get that. I can totally get where people are coming from because I mean I'm right there with them. You know what I mean? I spent all this time learning 3D and learning Cinema 4D and learning how to design stuff, and now I can literally just do this. You know, however, however, I think if you harness that power and you kind of, and you don't let it like take over your entire workflow, you know what I mean? You don't solely become dependent on Midjourney or on Comfy UI or on whatever, which I'm not gonna lie, like I have been relying pretty heavily on Comfy UI lately just because I've been kind of pretty obsessed with it. But I mean, at the same time, like that still doesn't take away from understanding that I have to make 3D pieces for it, or I got to go out and, you know, if I take my own photography for the data sets, I can, you know, manipulate a little bit more of what the image is going to look like, or I can learn about different models, or, you know what I mean? Like Comfy UI kind of opens that learning space a little bit, which is why I've been so drawn into it. You know what I mean? Like, I see a lot of potential with it. It has helped me out a lot. I'm not gonna lie. Like the owners of the club that I was working with were super happy with how especially the projection mapping was coming out. I was pretty proud of that. I'm not like, I don't really like to toot my own horn very often, but I definitely feel really proud about how productive I was able to be with Comfy UI during my time at the club, dude. Like, I took it kind of upon myself to like pump out new pieces like almost every single weekend, so that like, you know what I mean? Like every weekend people would come in and there would be something new kind of on the walls, even though it was just the same, you know what I mean? The same projector kind of gets old after a little bit. So I was like, let's see how far we can take it. So, you know, Comfy UI helped me out a lot there. You know what I'm saying? Where like as rendering out as much work as I did in Blender would have taken, you know, significantly longer. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At the same time, though, I do want to shy away a little bit so much from like relying on Comfy UI for animation and kind of get back into Touch Designer a little bit. We just had a gig with the Ethereal Collective cats
Nice.
out here in Orlando. Shout out. And did some fun Touch Designer stuff with them. You know what I mean? So that's kind of getting my gears back into Touch Designer, and there's some cool ways to kind of merge Comfy UI with Touch Designer too. So I'm diving into that a little bit. But yeah, man, like I said, like it's been a fun journey, bro. You know, I'm fortunate enough to say that I'm confident in diving into new programs and confident with the work that I'm putting out. You know, obviously I don't hold myself up to extremely high standards, but I can see the progress, man, and it feels good, bro. You know, feels real good.
Well, yeah, dude. I mean, it's clear. It's, you know, it's very clear that you're trying out new things and getting to a point, like, you know, like you said, you enjoy what you're doing, which is really like the first step to any creative process, I would say. You know, even if what you're enjoying is making money, that's also fine. But it's like you gotta enjoy. Otherwise, it's going to be hard to sit at the computer for hours. You know, it's difficult, and you know, forget about creative flow. Like just literally just sitting in the computer is going to be difficult. But yeah, I love these workflows. I really, you know, I've also trying to, I mean, you know, I've also been getting deeper into AI. It's clear that like the market and like what people are looking for is AI experience. You know, whether it's all the dumb tools like Runway and all that kind of stuff. It's like you don't really need. Like I love when like on an application people are like, oh, you know, Runway. It's like, oh, you mean the 3 minutes that I need to learn how to use like a web app? Like it's just so funny that it's a skill, like, but I it's just like it's clearly the person that's asking you if it's a skill or not doesn't know how to use it. You know what I mean? It has never used it before. It's like, do you know how to use
they don't
Google
know
Docs?
what it takes.
You know, like, you know.
Right. Like Excel, right? PowerPoint, yeah, like that's
Do you know how to
impressive to
use?
them. Like, oh, okay, this guy knows his shit right here, dude.
Do you know how to navigate? You know, whatever Midjourney thing. You know, it's like, but I think in general, people are really using for experience in that kind of field. And when you have experience with like Comfy UI or like even like the more like the less vanilla stuff, like, you know, Leonardo or all those websites that kind of like give you like access to different models, and you're kind of like utilizing their amalgamation of experience to generate nice things. It's an upper hand to so many different aspects of, you know, the motion graphic world or the graphics world. And yeah, and like when you can use it as like a way to come up with ideas, or a way to kind of like generate different concepts, or even put an overlay on your video, on your 3D model, on your 3D render, you know, there's a lot of benefit to that. And yeah, and then you go into like the whole vibe coding aspect, and that's like a huge thing that I've loved, been loving for the past few years. So yeah, I think it's smart, and again, if you're enjoying it, then there's really no rhyme or reason to not do it. Thank you again so much for showing us into your workflows. It's super refreshing and awesome to see the different ways you are, you know, using and utilizing your talents. And yeah, I mean, just the stuff that you're doing is fucking cool, dude. So thank you so much for showing it. And also like just multidisciplinary, which for me is always like so fun. You know, oh, you're doing this and you're doing that, and here's how I connect it, and here's where it all comes together. You know, that's it's awesome. It's awesome. And I guess kind of starting off the you know, the last portion of our cast here. You are, you know, I'm thinking about the best topic to start with here. Let's maybe go into something that we spoke about earlier, which is perfectionism. You know, and how, you know, perfect is the enemy of good. I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I think that there's like a very thin line, and, you know, you kind of have to walk it. But yeah, what's your take on that? And maybe we can tie it into like, you know, what you're all about, which is putting in the work and you'll get a result, kind of where those things kind of match.
Yeah, man. Like, I don't think it's wrong to consider yourself a perfectionist either. You know what I mean? Like that to me just shows that you see where you're self-aware enough to know that you are flawed, as we all are. You know what I mean? And there's room for improvement, and you're aiming for that. Does that make sense? Like, just
100%.
like I think that it's important to have a little bit of that, because if you just get comfortable doing like the same thing over and over again, where you just know, like, all right, I can step in here and just hit a, you know, a 50-yarder. I don't know what the baseball terminology is. You know what I mean? But you know, if you get too comfortable doing something over and over again, man, like I really do think the spark gets lost. You know what I mean? Like, I personally, you know, a big thing that I enjoy doing is, as crazy as it sounds, is being frustrated with not being able to figure something out. You know what I mean? Like, when that is happening and I'm not able to do like, and I'm not able to like, and I'm hitting this wall, like, and I'm noticing this wall, like, it's like this challenge to me to get it done. You know what I mean? It's like a challenge to myself where I'm like, all right, like, like clearly the way that I've been approaching this isn't working. How am I going to make this work? And that kind of ties into like the whole perfectionism thing, because like, if you just stick to doing the same thing over and over again, to like where, you know, you're just automatically like, all right, let me just open up Blender, let me just click, render out, done. Like, there's no fun in that. You know what I mean? Like, that then it just becomes like another Mid-Journey sort of thing, where you're just not putting any effort, then you're not putting any, you know what I mean? And like having that perfectionism where, like, you know, that little bit can go further. You could just put in like the little bit, the extra 20 minutes, the extra hour, like mess around with the idea that's in your head. And if it doesn't work, just undo everything and just leave it to where it was before you know what I mean? Like, just,
Right. There's
like,
no
just
law.
do it.
You're not, right. You're not like, there's no downside. So the only downside that there might be is time wasted, right? Or I find a lot, like, because because I like things to be complex and convoluted and difficult. I don't know. It's just kind of like my brain works. Sometimes you reach a point where the extra added allotted time for perfecting something actually makes it worse. How do you like, can you recognize this? Do you have like some form of like way to understand it and quantify it?
Yeah, man. Like I'm a big like if I'm not feeling like the piece myself, like if I'm not like connecting with it, like if it's not resonating with me for whatever reason, like let's say I got an idea, I spent the extra hour on it, the extra day on it, I hate it. Those moments are important too. You know what I mean? Like moments like that, I think really like kind of chisel away at at the artistry that is design and that is animation, that is whatever. You know what I mean? Like you really like fine tune. Like those are the moments where you're like, okay, I don't really like how this looks. And that's like the little bit of chiseling that you're doing where you're like, okay, let me refine it down. And if that means starting over and starting back to in that place where you were happy with it, like that, you know, that's also part of the journey. You know what I mean? Like that's
Totally.
also just as important as like having the knowledge of how to do stuff. And you know what I mean? Like being
Hmm.
self-aware enough to know what you like will also resonate with other people and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? And in that same lane, like if it's not resonating with you for whatever reason, there's also, you know what I mean? Not to say that like that's the most important thing or not the most important thing, but the energy that you put into it and the energy that like you get from whatever you're doing says a lot, man. You know what I mean? And I think that's a
Totally.
cool part of like being a creative person, bro. It's like you really put yourself into what you're doing, and through that just organically like you fall in love with the piece, or you're able to like really develop it into something that like resonates with you and then is able to resonate with others. You know what I mean? Like, but I think like
Mm.
the most important thing is definitely like not only enjoying what you're doing, because like the process can definitely be frustrating, it can be difficult, it can be annoying, like you sometimes you got to walk away, sometimes you got to, you know, step away, you put it down for the day and come back tomorrow, but um it's more rewarding that way, man. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely like I said, you just kind of really find your voice, and you're able to really like separate the things that you like and that you don't like. You know what I mean?
Mm. Totally. Yeah, I think it's so much smart things you just said, but like the aspect of you know, failure or like, you know, not liking what you made is a opportunity to grow, right? Or opportunity to like learn something about your process, etc. um, and if you're having fun while you're doing it, then there's no fucking, who cares, you know? Like you can go play a video game for a few hours and you're having fun, nothing's happening, you know, you're just having a good time, which is healthy. um, yeah, really, really good insight into there. And you know, I think it's like everybody's journey to find their thin line of like perfectionism and good, and you know, and find like, it's also like, what do you enjoy about the process, right? Like I, like you even said it, like I like when something's really difficult and I don't know what to do and I'm kind of trying to solve it. I love that too. I love, like, for me, a lot of the creative process, a lot of artistry is problem solving, you know. Maybe it's less when I have like an image in mind that I want to recreate, which is like less and less actually over the years. Um, you know, it's more of like I have a concept and I want to go with it, or I come up with an idea for a node graph or some sort of automated system or some sort of real-time thing, and I go for it. And it's like, yeah, sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it takes up way too much time than it should. um, but when I can solve something, or when I, you know, when I do go into that process, I'm enjoying myself because I'm learning more about that process. um, so yeah, I think that's like a really, really good anecdote for sure. Kind of brings me into, oh, sorry, were you gonna say something?
No, no, no. Like
Okay.
if anything, dude, like you said, man, once you kind of cross that threshold of difficulty, it's almost like a serotonin hit, dude. It's almost like you just ripped a line. You know what I mean? I don't mean to get so
Yeah.
vulgar, but you know what I'm saying, dude? Like once you kind of get there, you're like,
You
finally,
just
bro. Like
boofed
I
it, bro.
got,
You
like
just
I
totally
did.
boofed it up.
You, right, dude. Without any toilet paper, bro. You're just straight up, bro. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's been a super rewarding journey because of that too, man. You know what I mean? Like little tiny things like that that don't mean anything to anybody, bro. You know what I mean? It's all internal, bro. Like it's meant so much, dude. Like it like most recently, bro, like Comfy UI like took me like a good 2 weeks to really like finally get my first render out because it was just error after error after error after error. And that's kind of like when I realized I was like, oh wait a minute, like once I kind of got everything done and the roller coaster kind of like came back down and landed, I was like, wait a minute, like that was fun, dude. Like that was fucking awesome. Like the back and forth and the wait, what am I doing wrong? And the research and the no, but this isn't working and that's not working. Like that's all part of the journey, man. And
For
you
sure.
get, you know what I mean? Like from point A to point B, once you kind of get there, like you're able to look back and be like, oh shit, I just learned so much by trying to just do this one little simple thing and just get this
Hmm.
program running. Like
Right.
it's crazy, man. Like
And now that you
it's a
have the
crazy, crazy
knowledge,
journey.
now that you have the knowledge, you can utilize it in different ways, you know? And maybe if you would have done it in a day, you wouldn't have had that knowledge and you would have had to anyways find 2 weeks to learn it, you know? So yeah, you know, this is another thing I want to talk to you about is like you know, dark times and getting through them. We've been trying to like have a meetup for like almost 9 months, well 6 months or 7 months. And when I first reached out to you, you were going through a hard time, and then when you reached out back to me, I was going through a hard time, and now we're here and we're not going through hard times, or we are, but it's like, you know, our hard times are culminating into good times, or, you know, by talking we're having a good time. I don't know, but I guess, you know, what I wanted to kind of get from you is what is your, you know, how do you contemplate or how do you navigate the hard times and come out, you know, you're such a positive dude. Like I've never met you before and we've only interfaced online, but like just from the texting with you on Instagram, you're like such a nice and positive guy. Like every response is, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Okay, cool. Oh, I love it. You know, like, and that's cool. Like that's awesome. And talking to you now for an hour, like I get it. You're a forward thinking, positive, you know, put in the work, dude. And that's great. But when you have those dark times or when you have those down times, like how do you navigate? What do you do? Is there any practices or maybe not? And we can talk about it as well, but just, you know, yeah. What is your take on that?
Nah, man, like, you know, life is a roller coaster, bro. You know, like that is one thing that I've learned in the short. I turned 30 tomorrow, dude.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
fuck
birthday.
yeah, dude.
But
Congratulations. Welcome to the club.
out here, dude. But you know, it's got ups and downs, bro. You know what I mean? Like there's no way to avoid that. You get what I mean? Like, and unfortunately, they don't announce themselves, you know, the good times nor the
Mm,
bad times. You know
mm,
what I mean? Like, and that's something that I've, you know, learned both the good, you know, the easy way and the hard way. You know what I mean? Like there's been news that I've you know, been expecting that I've gotten that I've worked out from, you know, from the moment that I got the idea to the end. And then there's obviously been times when shit just goes completely sideways and you don't know what the fuck to do. And uh, all of that is valuable, dude. You
mm,
know, all of that, like I said earlier, man, like without those bad times, without like eating shit, man, and really like questioning why you're doing what you're doing and really like,
mm.
you know, in a sense, the universe really putting you through the trials and tribulations to make sure that you are where you want to be. Uh, those good times don't taste as good, man. You know what I mean? Like if it was just all good times all the time, I think
Right,
it would lose some of that spark and it would lose some of that
right.
magic. And you know what I mean? Like a good thing, you know, meditation is probably like the thing that and my dog, dude. Like those two
Oh,
things are the things that have saved my life, bro. Like my she's not with me right now because I'm with my grandma. I'm staying over here right now. Crazy story. But when I got my dog, bro, it really, really like changed, like it really helped me change perspectives because she's the first dog that I had. Kind of like I bought her when she was a puppy, and I really wanted to be a good owner. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be one of those guys that was like treated their dog like shit, and the dog was always malnourished and never, was
Oh.
always super anxious because they never walked her, they never had any, engagement. Like I really like wanted to make it a mission and a goal to like really bond with her and really like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, let her and kind of like me and be like life partners in a weird way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
Of
I'm
course.
blessed to say that like she's my best friend, dude. Like
Oh.
that is like, you know what I mean? Like when I'm having a bad day, bro, she knows it. And like she's
Oh.
there, dude.
That's so
She's there,
nice.
bro. Like
Oh
you know what I
shit.
mean? Like I've grown a lot from like being super social and going out and having a lot of friends. And like in high school, I was very like centered around that. Like that was kind of like uh my coping. You
Identity.
know what I mean? I would go out, hang out with friends. You know what I mean? Like go out, smoke, hang out, go to shows, do whatever, talk some shit, laugh. And it's really shifted towards like just taking care of her, dude, just making sure she's okay. And like it's crazy because like through that, bro, like we've built this bond that our communication is almost telepathic, bro. Like the minute that she comes, you know what I mean? The minute that she comes up and asks me for something, it's like, I know what you want, dude. You know what I mean? And like that is a cool feeling, bro. Like
Totally.
that has helped me out a lot. You know what I mean? And that helps me out a lot currently. Like when I'm going through something difficult, I know I can like lay down in bed, cuddle up with her, and she'll listen, bro. You know, like she doesn't judge. Like she's awesome, man. No, but meditation too, bro. Like meditation and I don't do yoga as much. Like I don't like uh evolve as much as I guess I should in my practice, but stretching and just doing yoga like in the mornings, kind of like having a morning routine.
A
I
moment for
notice really,
yourself.
yeah, bro, like really like the phone off, maybe like put some music on just to kind of like tone out whatever's going on in the house or whatever, just to kind of like really like get into like my own space. Um, when I don't really like have that moment for myself in the mornings, I've noticed like my days are way more chaotic. Like I'm not able to really like I'm much more distracted. I'm much more not in my like you know what I mean? I'm in my head. I'm not really like present. It's so meditation and yoga, bro. Like it's I don't mean to sound like so hippy dippy, bro, but it's been a tool that or they've been tools that have helped me like grow a lot as a person and kind of get rid of a lot of the things that like the imposter syndrome, the
Mm.
self-doubt,
Mm.
the laziness too, man. Like when
Mm.
when
It's a tough
when
one.
I'm on my shit and and I have my morning routine, I wake up, I stretch up, I sit there for a little bit, I meditate, and I get right into work, and it's just when I don't, it's like I'm on my phone, I'm messing around, you know what I mean? I'm twisting around in bed, I'm getting, you know what I mean? So it's like just really like little things like that, bro. And like I don't want to say that they're little because obviously like your health is a big thing, man. Your mental health, your physical health, like all those tie in into creativity a lot.
Mm.
But all of that is just like those are really just like I used to be a really angry person, bro. Like I used to not be able to
Mm.
manage my emotions and depending
Interesting.
who you ask, they'll tell you that I'm a crazy person. You know what I mean? Um, and just meditating and yoga, bro, like just have really helped me grow out of that and really like help me look at myself from an outside perspective and work on the things I need to work on, bro. Like and
Mm.
without any judgment or without any uh um what's it called?
Self
Without any
self hatred or
right
something.
self-harm, I guess. Right, yeah,
Self
exactly.
harm. Yeah.
Like I can't find the words, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Judgment. I
Um,
think judgment is the right word. Yeah. You're not.
ju-
You're allowing yourself to be who you are without judging yourself and grow. You know, if you just judge
right,
yourself that you're angry the whole time, you're not probably gonna get anywhere because you're just gonna be angry that you're angry, for sure.
right, right. And really just art, bro, too. Like just sitting down and just fucking around in Blender, fucking around in TouchDesigner. Like even if I don't like post up or you know what I mean, even if I'm not like rendering stuff out, if I, even just like clicking buttons, like watching some tutorials, like that all helps me like really censor myself. Because like I said, man, like this has really all helped me like find a path. You know what I mean? Like I used to be like all over the place, didn't really know what to do, was, uh wasn't really like not only like not confident, but just wasn't motivated towards doing anything. You know what I mean? And like I resent that a lot from like my real dad. Like my real dad is not really present. And all of that like mentality and like these tools have really helped me like to be confident in myself, like have my own voice, like be able to like go out into the world and represent like myself as an individual, as a person out in this world that contributes. Like it's awesome, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're doing it, so that's what it is, you know. And yeah, it is a roller coaster, you know. Back to the beginning, like a roller coaster. Life is a roller coaster. I mean, the podcast opens up with that great Bill Hicks quote, you know. Life is a ride, and you got to just take the ride and go for it. Otherwise, you know, what are you gonna do? Um, that's super paraphrasing. He says it much more eloquently than I just did, but the gist of it is
Oh
life is a
man, it makes
ride.
sense.
So just get on the ride. Um, yeah, you know, it's interesting. You mentioned at the beginning, and I you kind of said something opposite now, but I'm interested to kind of understand a little bit more. But you mentioned that when you were younger, you were shy, and that you when you as you got older, or as you got into school, or as you started getting into art, you kind of came out of your shell. Um, yeah, tell us a little about that. It's like such an interesting thing. I just from my own experience, you know, I always was kind of a little bit of a introvert as a kid. You know, I never really liked sports and wasn't really into like being outside. You know, as I got older, obviously I love going to like nature and things like that, but I was always very much more I enjoyed more sitting in my room on the computer as I got older. You know, before it was kind of like just playing with toys and things like that. Um, and not until I reached like, you know, 17, 16, 17, 18 and started going to parties did I realize that like, oh, there's like this, you know, duality of like introversion and extroversion. Like I'd rather be at home sitting and hanging out with myself, but I also really enjoy being with my friends, being in a big crowd of people that are all aligned to the same thing. Um, I wouldn't consider myself like shy per se, but I was much more of like internalized. And I think actually it's funny because I'm kind of like coming around full circle as I get older and I have a kid and kind of living in the mountains. I'm much more kind of like happier like that instead of going to like, you know, going out every night, which I was doing when I lived in the city. Yeah, so I just think it's interesting how kind of like our lives kind of take these interesting roller coaster twists and turns. So yeah, tell me a little bit about your kind of journey from being more insular to being more you know, out there.
Yeah, man. Being an immigrant
Uh
uh
huh.
was an interesting journey, bro, because
Mm,
being so little, obviously, like, little kids are a little bit more reserved. They're,
for sure.
not every little kid wants to just be running around, jumping around.
For sure.
Um, so coming in when I was so young was a little scary because I didn't
Mm,
know English. I had to learn English.
mm,
I had to like learn a whole new way of life because it's
right.
a lot different in Colombia. Um, but um, I I'm a very comfortable person once I have like my group of people, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
once I can
Mm-hmm.
find like people that I can relate to and kind of and like familiarize myself with, like I'm a lot more open. And I think I've always been, I don't want to say like a chameleon, but it's kind of like a weird like a chameleon in a way that like adapts to his environment. So like, you know what I mean? Like if
Mm-hmm.
um we were like there was a point in time when like me and my friends were really into anime. Like I was hanging out with some cats that were, real into Naruto and like One Piece and stuff like that. So I would be going out
Yeah.
to like the manga stores and getting some manga and like, you know what I mean? Like
Nice.
watching some anime and watching some stuff.
I love
And
it.
then that kind of shifted towards like it just shifted, dude. You know what I mean? Like my best friend now, like I met him in like fifth grade, like middle school. He was one of the cats that was in the band with me. But
Nice.
him and his family took me under his wing, and I Americanized myself a lot through them. You know what I mean? Like they
Mm,
are
mm,
just really prime examples of like genuine Christian people. You know what I mean? Like
mhm, mhm.
they're always volunteering. Like their mom has a women's ministry called Unforsaken, who they help out like single moms, and they really like shy away from like the evangelist kind of like social media idea of what we have as Christians. They really taught me like a lot of like core values that I still carry today. But with my best friend, he was always just a really cool cat, and similar like a similar style with like he's very quiet, very reserved, but you know, we would always joke around, and we got really big into like play like music and stuff. He was a singer, I was playing guitar, and then like my neighbors were the drummer and the other guitarist. And
Nice.
through him I learned I learned how to be confident, you know what I mean, like in social environments, and kind of how to like be yourself
Interesting.
uh without like being the center of attention, you know what I mean? Like still
Right.
being
Without
like an
without
interesting person, and
being
still
an
being,
asshole.
yeah, you know what I
Right.
mean? With exactly. Shout out to my boy Trav. That's my homie. But
Nice.
yeah, man, like through him, I just kind of like became a dude. You know what I mean? Like if that makes sense. So
Mm,
we were watching like a lot
yeah.
of Will Ferrell stuff. Like his dad's real big
Cool.
into like 80s metal and stuff like that. So he like put me on to like
Nice.
Metallica and like Foo Fighters and like
I love it.
you know, some really cool music, you know what I mean? Like just uh really kind of introduced me into like a dude, sort of like how to be a dude out here, and like you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like I take
Yeah.
a lot like how I am a lot after them. Um and then in middle school is pretty similar. You know, I focused a lot on music and stuff like that, and kind of like started understanding like his dad taught me something that I value to this day, like this idea of he called it reap and sow. You reap what you sow, you know what I mean? So like
Yes. Of
you plant your
course.
seeds, you
Of
tend to your
course.
garden, make sure
Yeah.
they're taken care of, you put the fertilizer on them, you're going out there getting the sun, getting the
Yeah.
this, and then at the end of the harvest you have, you know, a beautiful something that you can enjoy. You know what I mean? Something that you can
Mm-hmm.
value, something that like you did, something, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that. And that has just always really stuck with me, man.
Mm.
That's really helped me kind of like have a positive outlook on things, and like not
Mm.
let things kind of bog me down so much. You know what I mean? Like with hard work, bro, like anything is really possible. I know that sounds like super cheese, like Disney Channel
No.
bullshit, but like
No, it's
it's
not, but
true,
it's
man.
legit.
Like you put your head down, bro, and no matter what you're doing, man, you put your head down, you get a good attitude into it, and the rest is history. But then in high school, it started out, you know, really focused, you know what I mean? Because I started out like going into I went to a charter school for middle school, so it was a
Uh-huh.
private public sort of thing, so it was really small. And
Uh-huh.
then we went into a public high school, which Claremont isn't, like I said, it's not the biggest place ever, but
Uh-huh.
it was a big jump going from like a class size of like 60 something kids to, you
Mm-hmm.
know, 700, 800 kids, which is still not a lot, but you know, significantly bigger than what I was used to.
Yeah.
um Freshman year was tough. Didn't really have like a good place, you know what I mean? I didn't really know what I wanted to do in high school. I saw kids were doing like band, and they would have their friends in band, and there was kids doing sports, and they would have their friends in sports, and all I
Mm-hmm.
really had was like my homie, like my boy Trav. And obviously, you know, high school, you don't, it's very rare that you have the same exact classes as every single one of your friends. So like that
Yeah.
was I kind of learned there that I'm a very reserved person. You know what I mean? I'm not a very like, hey, how are you type of guy, like unless, you know, I kind of have to be. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because of like lack of interest or anything like that. I think I'm just uh it goes into like the self-esteem thing. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like this is weird to say, but like I don't think like what I have is that important to say. You know what I mean? So like I
Mm.
restrict myself and I limit myself to having conversations because in my head I think I'm going to be boring. It's this weird
Mm-hmm.
psychological thing that, you know,
Interesting.
again, graphic design and animation and all of this kind of helped open that up a lot. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But then I found TV production, and that helped a lot. You know what I mean? Made a lot of friends there. My TV production instructor was and continues to be like a big mentor. Like we're still in touch today. Shout out Miss Honey. That's like I for
Shout
sure I would
out.
not be here without Miss Honey, bro. Like
Oh, fuck yeah.
there's dude, it's crazy because like there's things, bro, that like she she came from a news station background. So she did
Okay.
graphics and she did TV production and film production for a news station for a really, really long time.
Yeah.
And so she had that production aspect already kind of tied into the film thing. You know what I mean? She came
Mm-hmm.
from
Mm-hmm.
a place where both really went hand in hand.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm never gonna forget this, dude. Like she made us like she would have us like she graded us on our cable wrapping abilities, bro.
Mm-hmm.
She like
Wow.
nailed it into our heads so much that
That's
like
crazy.
now like any AV warehouse that I walk into, they're like, "Do you know how to like?" I'll just start wrapping cables, and they're like, "Oh, what the fuck? You know how to like?" You know what I mean? It's just like little things. I'm like, wow, like you know, I can look back at as far as 15, 20 years, almost not 20 years, 15
Right.
years, and still like tie stuff together. But then I started getting really like distracted. I started partying a lot. Like I started hanging out
Mm.
with like an older crowd. Like the cats that I was hanging out with, they were like 2 years older.
Mm-hmm.
So I I didn't like put my school to the side because I still got like my grades and stuff because my mom would have killed me if I didn't. But I was definitely slacking off. Like obviously I could have done significantly better. You know what I mean? But then I really just started partying, bro, and I just became this like that became my thing, dude. You know what I mean? Like that became like who I was. Like that was like what I tied my identity to was like the party guy. And obviously it's a lot of fun. You know what I mean? Had a lot of crazy times, sneaking out and stealing the car and going on beer runs and you know what I mean, the whole nine partying. Like the cats that actually, I'm not gonna lie, like the cats that I hung out with they were super creative. Like
Mm-hmm.
one of the cat like one of them won like most creative in the yearbook and shit. You know what I mean? He like
Yeah.
he had a PT Cruiser and he hated it. He like absolutely hated it. So he
Okay.
sticker bombed it. But like I'm talking it looked like panels. You get what I'm saying? Like every
Yeah.
inch of the paint of the car was covered in stickers. It
That's
was
crazy.
the sickest
That's
thing.
crazy.
Dude, it was awesome. And then he pimped out the inside. He had like CDs all on the roof. Like Jack is a fucking awesome guy. But with those cats, we just did a lot of like really like off the wall kind of things. Like we would go to downtown Orlando and like skate around and like drink beers and stuff like that. And like there was a point in time when uh one of like our main buildings in downtown, it's called the Chase building, it's Chase, uh they were very careless and there was a way that you could get literally to the roof of the building, like the tippy top of the building through the parking garage. So did really stupid crazy stuff like that. So there was like that rebellious kind of like the rock and roll sort of thing that like really was getting fed during that time. Um, but obviously that isn't there's no longevity in that. You know what I mean? As soon as high school was over and everyone went off to college, I was stuck at a Lowe's and I was like, ah shit, I fucked up. So then like my senior year I started hanging out with the Easy Bake crew, you know what I mean? And like those cats
Yeah.
like when we first started hanging out is when they like were first kind of like morphing into Easy Bake. Like we have a third homie who is another producer. His name is he goes by Monty Claire. Shout out Monty Claire. Uh it was like a trio. It was Eric, Andrew, and then our boy Rigo. Then Rigo kind of branched off, did his own thing, and then Eric and Andrew kind of did Easy Baked together, and then that kind of started launching off. But the partying was still very much so alive. Like that's kind of how I got introduced to them.
Mm-hmm.
The house parties and stuff were getting kind of boring, so I started like going out to downtown, started going out to shows. I became a promoter for one of the production companies out here that threw shows at like one of the bigger companies because they had like the funds to like pay us out and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like a cool way of like just being involved with the shows and like I would get into shows for free. I would get my girlfriend in for free and stuff like that. Like make like
Nice.
like drug money for the night off of the ticket sales, because it was only like 40, $50. I mean, it was whatever.
Yeah.
Buy like my weed with
Yeah.
it, buy whatever with it. And then that's kind of when I started realizing, like, me and my girlfriend broke up because I was just off the wall. Like, I was really, really lost and like just partying and doing drugs and like just I didn't really care about what I was doing. I was just kind of happy
Mm-hmm.
like working and then going to party every single weekend. And I will say like I wasn't the best, like that relationship ended up kind of rough because I wasn't the best guy.
Mm-hmm.
But she did try as hard as she could. You know what I mean? She definitely like gave me as many opportunities as she could to like help me out. You know what I mean? Like her and her mom tried to like get me signed up for a community college, and
Mm-hmm.
she would go to classes with me. Like we signed up for a couple classes together and stuff. And then
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't into it, man. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't like it didn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like going the traditional route was like I was like, I'm just back in high school right now. Like, this is
Right.
exactly what I was getting away from 2 or 3 years ago. Like, what am I doing
Mm-hmm.
back here? So I dropped out. Um, and then uh, my homies had some Deems, some DMT. And as cliche as it sounds, man, like, blasted off, did the whole thing. And this was a little bit after Halloween and kind of like the epiphany happened of like, oh, wait a minute, like people put shows and stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wait a minute, why don't I go to school? Because like my parents were also really like on top of my ass about going to school for something because they were getting pretty tired of me just hanging out at the house, not doing anything. So I I I just kind of like walk you like a quick synopsis of like the trip. Like I was in a white hallway with
Mm-hmm.
like paintings, like artwork all down the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
And like there was just a voice that just kept saying like you're like this is where you need to be like essentially, you
Wow.
know what I mean? I'm kind of paraphrasing, but like this is like you are essentially like you are where you need to be, like this is it. And then after that I was like, okay, like let me see what I can find as far as like graphic design and like animation and kind of like that world goes. And
Mm-hmm.
I found Full Sail. uh I told my parents about it because it's pretty pricey. They told me that the only way that they would help me out is if I help them out. You know what I mean? Like if I got some money, like grants, scholarships, whatever I could find. So I
Mm-hmm.
busted my ass, dude. This is like when I really started like taking myself seriously because I was like, you know what, bro? Like me and my girlfriend just broke up. I'm super depressed. I feel like shit all the time. Like all I'm doing is just doing blow and drinking and smoking weed all day long and then just showing up to work and hating it. So let me change things around a little bit. Let me like take myself seriously. Like let me really
Right.
dive into this and just see what can come from it. Because the worst that can come from it is I'm just back here. You know what I mean? Like worst comes
Right.
to worst, like I just end up back at Lowe's and I'm
Where you were.
nothing
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing changes. Um, so I got like 20 grand in scholarships, dude. Did as much research as I could, you know what I mean? Found some money, did the whole nine, applied the essays, the bullshit. And this was all pre-Chat GPT too. Just putting that
Mm-hmm.
out there. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like really, really put in the work, bro. And
Totally.
uh got some money. My parents were really happy with that. They met me kind of like a little bit more than halfway with it. And then the rest is, and then after that, bro, like from the first day, man, because like I took a tour, you know what I mean, and the tour was sick. I really like got suckered into it, like the whole like, yeah, you can be whoever you want to be here, and you know what I mean, the whole Disney tour bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But then the
Disney
first
tour
3 months were a
bullshit.
little difficult because it
Yeah.
was, a lot of like you with Full Sail, it's an accelerated program, so you get your bachelor's degree in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
You take a month class at a time and then you move on to the next class. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
very fast-paced program. And me kind of coming in from kind of a squirrely background, like just kind of being so all over the place, I was like, this is perfect
Mm-hmm.
because I get bored of stuff really easy. Like I said, I'm really impatient. So sitting in, through a whole semester with the classes was really, it really killed me the first time around. I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
can't sit here for 3 months learning algebra, bro. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna lose my mind.
You're gonna lose it. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So that was, you know what I mean? So that was a cool way of like that was a really big draw into Full Sail. So the first like 3-4 months were a little difficult because it was you have to get your general studies classes out of the way. So you do your English, your math, your social studies,
Oh
your
wow, so it's like a
bullshit.
proper university.
Yeah, no, you get it's an accredited school, but it's not accredited by every single
Yeah, but that's like whatever.
board or whatever. You know what I mean? There's some
Yeah,
weird fucking discrepancy. I don't
yeah, it's just
know.
bullshit.
So yeah, it's stupid, dude. Like I did the work, man. Like I know what I'm doing. What more do you
Right.
want from me? Anyway, so got through the first 3 months, you know what I mean? Like just kind of powered through it. It was whatever, you know what I mean? It wasn't like the most fun because I wasn't doing anything that I really wanted to do. It was nonsense. But then as soon as I started diving into like the design stuff and like the art stuff, dude, like my first class into like my first like intro to like art stuff was art history class.
Hmm.
And I had already like I was really into Banksy and like street art and like I'd watched
Mm.
um, what's the Exit Through the Gift Shop and like a couple other just
Yes, it's a good
documentaries
one.
and just kind of a
Yeah.
couple of Basquiat documentaries and stuff like that. So I kind of had like a fascination for art already. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm. Hmm.
my mom has like a cool art collection at the house. Nothing like crazy expensive, but she was always like, really big into like naked ladies and stuff like that. And not ever really
Okay.
shying away from like artwork. You know what I mean? Like just not really
Yeah.
uh like allowing art to just be art. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
my granddad, like my on my mom's side, was also like a really gnarly like oil painter. Like he's kind of a crackhead, though, so we don't really talk about it too much. Yeah, but uh, so art history was just the perfect way to get into it, man, because it was just a month of just straight like from Renaissance, like from cavemen, really. Like we did a whole kind of
Wow.
a whole lecture on caveman stuff, all
So cool.
all the way up to the most modern, Saul Bass. Obviously no like digital artists, unfortunately. I think now with like NFTs and stuff, there might be like people kind of making like the most expensive piece sold or whatever, kind of like making a little bit of
Yeah.
history there. Like there might
Yeah.
be a little bit more with like the most recent stuff, but like dove into like graphic design and comic books and stuff like that. So it
Hmm.
got like
Hmm.
somewhat recent. But then after that, man, it was just I realized like I was at the right place, bro. Like I realized I made like the right decision. Like I was fully ready to do the whole college experience, bro. Like talk to all of my professors, do the internships, and then during that time, man, like I really like found my voice, bro. You know what I mean? Like during
Hmm.
that time was when I really like was able to um obviously I've grown a lot because I graduated in 2019. It's been, six years now, 4 or 5 years, 6 years now. But I can say that I really like found myself there, dude. You know what I mean? Like aside from like all the drugs and all the nonsense and all the times where you find yourself with whatever, you know what I mean? Like I really like feel like I felt like I was a part of society here, dude. I was like, okay, like this is something I could see myself doing for the rest of my life, and I'm happy. Like I'm genuinely like I can go to sleep with a smile on my face and wake up with a smile on my face. Like that's awesome. And then, through that, like we talked a little bit about like the internships and a little bit about that. Like, um, obviously, every the internship stuff with I don't want to like throw them under the bus. I don't want to talk shit about anybody. Only love, all love. That internship ended up a little bit poorly. The guy kind of took advantage of the fact that I was a novice. You know what I mean? I was kind of like
Hmm.
new into everything, and
Hmm.
I don't want to say he stole money from me because I was his employee and he does
Right.
with money as he sees. But there
Right.
was a situation, bro,
Screwed
where
you over in
like
some
I'll just
way.
kind of yeah, bro. Like we went to Halloween. It was the last time I worked with Halloween. But prior to Halloween, because Halloween was uh it's usually only 3 days for the weekend for the festival. We were there for 7 days because we had to
Okay.
set up, we had to strike and then break down.
Hmm.
But prior to Halloween, we spent 2 weeks in Daytona for Bike Week, doing some projection mapping stuff out there. We had a hotel out there, whatever. Um, After it was all said and done, he gave me like $600, which is,
Right.
it's not a little bit of
Well,
money,
I mean, for a week of work,
but
that's a little bit of money.
for 3 weeks of work.
3 weeks. Oh my God, that's crazy. Yeah.
Three, right? It's
Yeah,
already
that's
starting
crazy.
to get kind of weird. But then what really, like, really, because Halloween that year, they were going through uh company change. The owners
Hmm.
were switching over. I think they were selling out Purple Hatters or Matt, I forget who the company was.
Okay.
And that's the excuse that he used for not being able to pay me what we
Bullshit.
initially talked about, you know, which I understood, like
No, it's bullshit.
I
It's
get it,
bullshit.
ob-
I'll
obviously.
say it for you.
But
It's fine.
yeah, no, now I fully understand. Yeah, yeah, just pay me, dude. You definitely got paid, bro. But dude, like in the conversation where he was telling me that, like as soon as he told me like I couldn't pay you because of X, Y, and Z, he goes, "Oh, but by the way, I just bought some go-karts and some 10-foot balloons for us to play real life Mario Kart." Bro,
Right.
those are his exact words. Like I will
Jesus.
never forget that. And like I kind of stood there for a second. I was like, "All right, cool, man. That's awesome." Because I didn't want, like, I didn't really understand like the weight of the situation, like right when he said it. But then
Hmm.
when he hung up, I was like, how much is this stuff?
Right.
Easily like 4 grand worth of stuff, dude.
Right.
I flipped out on him. I snapped on him, dude. I was like, how dare you sit there and like call me an idiot and think that I'm not gonna fact check you after you told me you can't pay me, man. Like, and then he had the nerve to tell, like, say like, don't you think this is gonna affect your career? Da 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 da. And I was like, brother, like you screwed me
Threatening
over.
you. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
What are you talking about, man? Like he's like,
Yeah.
bro, like you're never gonna get anywhere by doing this. And I was like, brother, like I just don't have to work with you ever again. Like I can go work
Right.
anywhere else. Like it's not like you're not the only person that does it. But that was the first kind of like rough hit into like DJing, you know what I mean? Because up until then,
Yeah.
bro, it was all rainbows and butterflies, just doing, VJ gigs with cool
Enjoying yourself. Yeah.
DJs and, yeah, fun shows. And you go and you don't even have to do anything because the projectors and everything is already there. You just plug your HDMI in, turn on Resolume, play around for a little while. So doing all of that work and kind of getting slapped in the face and then kind of getting treated like that was a rough kind of moment. But luckily I still had a little bit left in school, so I wasn't really allowed to focus on that for too long. I was like, okay, well, that guy's a dick, but I can still just keep doing this, and I could, like, this is not the end. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely not over. um, and after that, again, shout out Omni. That's shout out Dave. That's the homie. Like that's like literally sensei right there. He's thrown me, on a couple of shows and on a couple of different things where I've been able to meet other people and meet some different club owners and kind of like network out through him. And now I have like, I'm kind of building my little network of people that if I'm bored a Saturday night, I can be like, hey man, let me pop in and plug in for a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, dude, go ahead and come by, hang out, have a beer. Like, so that's, it all goes into like finding my voice and kind of like, being able to like, oh, dude, you guys want to go out to, Iron Cow, or you guys want to go out to this spot right here? I can, I'm setting up some visuals, come hang, come drink a beer, come kick it. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's
Community
like finding
oriented.
healthy ways. Yeah, bro, like finding healthy ways to be still like enjoying myself and partying and do what I like to do because I like to party, bro. But in a healthy way, bro, in a way that's productive, in a way that's not destructive, man.
Yeah, I mean the festival electronic music scene can swallow you and spit you out, just like any scene really. I mean, it's not like, um well, wow, that was a really interesting share. So much to unpack there, like but I just feel like just following your passion, focusing on what you're doing, and kind of coming out on top. At the end of the day, it's like there's always going to be people that are going to push you around, take advantage of you, you know, tying it into like maybe how you kind of, you know, uh, how you came to America as an immigrant and had to find your way through that, through the family that was watching over you, which is a very beautiful story, by the way. Um, you're very lucky, and I'm sure that you realize that. But it's like, these kind of things are always kind of tied together, of people saying, oh, you're never going to make it. Oh, you're going to fuck it up, or, getting into too much drugs and too much of a scene, it's like, it's about coming out on the other side. It's about, figuring out where you fall into the picture, where you fall into, it's your story. Where do you fall into your story? Is your story the crash and burn? Is your story the burning bridges? Is your story, the having a really good time and understanding where your boundaries are and your limits are? Is it, building a different bridge, burning that bridge because that bridge was fucking Mordor, like, who wants that bridge anyways? So, it's a journey. It's a roller coaster. And I'm super happy to have gotten the time to speak to you and get to know you. And, I'm sure our paths will cross one day. I can do it. I can speak. Our paths will cross one day, and we'll be able to, chat and talk and just hang out in person. So yeah, Juan, thank you so much for joining us. Anything you want to share with us or say before we exit?
But yeah, I'll give a couple quick shout outs to a couple Orlando cats. Local legend, Glass Crane. Shout out to the homie. Shout out to Lane. Shout out
Never heard of
to
him.
Christian
No,
Craig.
I'm joking.
Lane, yeah, this is Lane. He's a character, man. Shout out to Craig Christian TV. That's another homie. He's crushing it out here. Shout out to Perrita. She's another homegirl that's been crushing it. She was just out of Infrasound. She's been all over the place lately. Who else? Shout out to Sticky Icky. That's the boy. Shout out to Boehner. Shout out to Omni. Shout out to Synthestruct.
Some collectives.
And then shout out to Ethereal Collective. Like, those cats are really trying to put on some cool underground stuff out here. They just had a tie-dye Kai. That was super fun. You know what I mean? And yeah, just shout out to all the homies out at Neuro Studio.
Shout out Neuro Studio.
Sure, you know what I mean? Those cats are definitely reaping and sowing. Like, those guys are crushing it. Every single one of those guys, from audio to graphics to editorial stuff. Shout out Polygon. Dude, and shout out to you, bro. Like, you are an absolute rock star, bro. I appreciate you so much for having me on and letting me kind of rant a little bit and go on tangents for a little while, bro. You're the man.
Well, my friend, thank you again, and we'll see you soon. Wow, what an episode. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Manda Smash for the intro and outro music. Thank you to Sophie Holder for the amazing internship helping us with all the episodes. And thank you to the guests for coming on and spending time with us. See you next week.